Trending, Jerusalem, them bending, trending, network socializing, them trending, but Jerusalem, them bending, while them trending into the depths of hell, them descending. Taking them stories to the judge them line. From big pass straight to the last one psychic. Need a little help to keep winning with the youth fan out the truth, demoralizing. Britney exposing. Soon as they on and even to the same thing. And it's a sex tape. Them making, counting, from Richie. And the gal came out, them trending. The rules and laws, them bending. Get them trending. Them work socializing. Them trending, but the rules and laws them bending. And while them trending, into the depths of hell them descending. One precinct start with the stop on the frisking. Soon everybody hands up, lean against the building. No ID, straight to the bullpen. Police state they aggregated. Couple idiots begin this school shooting. Round the country, Bushmasters start blazing. Blessed are the heroes who protected the children. To have a special place reserved for you to heaven. Bending, the rules and laws they bending. In front of the store.
Trending, Jerusalem laws them. They used to call it copycat, well now they call it trending. You no matter the phrasing. We routine, regular routine, everything to the supreme beliefs and people who don't know what we mean. Yeah, yeah. We could line it up where we're going for today episode. In the next hour, Mr. G will be coming out with Mr. Leonard Brackett. That's gonna be an interesting segment. So make sure to stay on for that. Um Respect to my sis Jules, respect to Miss Arlette. This is her hour. We the chill puff, she hour right now. She on a road trip. Safe travel to everybody out there. World Diabetes Organization. Yeah, Gwenda, she, Jack, who else? Poyo, Fern, everybody went up on a road trip right there. So safe travels. You know, the Sea Smoke Show, they don't know all the way. Back and forth. It's Vanessa to be coming on the show in a couple of weeks again. To do, she do big things all the time. Major props to her daughter for the Tony, for the award, you know what I mean? She off Broadway, she on Broadway. What off Broadway? What? On Broadway. I don't watch nothing. Well, during today we are run a lot of promos and we are make us know where to go on and make us know about certain aspect of certain things. See me. And then play a whole smoke. My boy, my tech engineer they on the move to a bigger and better place because I never wish for nothing better. I like when my people are making me better. I like when my people are grow. Cause hey, if then the grow means we the grow too. So yo, respect to everybody in the hood where the blaze up. In the meantime, I want to respect to my little brother Chucky, my little brother Roland, my little brother Leroy. Yeah, my little sister name. Gloria, Julia, same way Mel, all my niece and nephew, eh? For real, all my daughter, eh? Yeah. Fiona. Want to respect to Ember, yeah. Kira, Jelly, yeah. Candice, love her more than anything in the world, don't know. Yeah, yeah. Want to respect to all 126 super celebrity crew, you don't know who. One boo, more health to boo. You're gonna say more health to everybody who feel ailment right about now. You know what I'm saying? Me always have to say respect to all my farmer guests, ne? I suppose I didn't know all in it, but yeah, respect to all my farmer guests, ne? See me. Because see, I want to say respect to all Brooklyn massive, but the Bronx I never run that directly, I know where they go and love a boy, all them Brooklyn and Levi. Yeah. Respect to my General Biggs, I'm a DJ that. All the other DJ into yeah, respect see me. You know what I mean? One top class, I'm a boy that top flight, General, yeah. Yeah, Lone General, for real. Yeah, respect all Manhattan Massive, like I say, all Bronx Uptown crew, yeah, Del Rue, what the man they say, yeah. Rico, where going? All the females in my life want to know, pressure, all the while, in the right, yeah, all the young ladies just taking me all the while through this thing, will help me with step on it like that, yeah, respect you to them, because they don't know it no easy, but yeah, we got bigger fish to fry, so all the young ladies who behind me with this thing, respect. We are run out two rhythm, and then we are run our two promos, and then we are come back and mention our two cheating. You understand what I mean, Star?
Revisited, remixed, blow fire balling food when they sell the soul, just a blending.
It's a famous production.
Oh, them trending, the rules and laws, them bending. Yes, them
Trending network.
socializing.
Yeah, we shoot this one and clips off for this one probably tomorrow.
But the rules and laws, them bending.
Bilal Art, respect.
While them trending, into
One France.
descending. Them used to call it copycat, but now them call it
Trending.
It no matter the phrasing, still mean the same.
Mr. Norman, yeah.
Corruption, destruction, and mayhem. We don't know who or what they are praising. If it's the one man for the track tomorrow, 10 more jumping. Can I take this stress in the land of the living? Sweet suicide they are committing.
And then they blame it on the system.
Bank know you're broke, but they keep on lending. You know you're broke, but you keep on spending. Few years later, house for closing.
Contract binding.
Them trending. The rules and laws, them bending. Trending. Network, socializing.
And anything we deal with subliminal, I get it sense in a while day by day.
The rules and laws, them
Day by day, you understand what they go on with their pics and their videos and things when they put out day by day. Champion that, silver medalist that, you know what to do face. Real talk, straight out of believe. Ghana, Jamaica, and match it up. Oh. When the youth find out the truth, Britney exposing. Yeah, these are pics from when Mother's Day canoe race. The man told the whole thing, and all the things that joke with that. I don't know which about that, but I don't know canoe believes it me night. Maya Mopan me in night. You know? The only race end up at Henderson Bank. So respect to that move over there, so Mr. Henderson. DJ Fabulous, One Love, you know what I mean? Weather done, yeah. Red Boy, yeah. Murmur, Trilogy, The Breezy, Shana, The Boss. Hey, Miss Barbara. The list goes on and on and on. Police state they are creating. Evidence like just the other day, you don't see it. Reserve for you the heaven. Jerusalem. Maya Mopan that. Another contestant in our race, so we have where we have in here. So I don't know La Ruta Maya thing is where we may have. A big difference. God bless those who do their own thing, you know. Look how hard they had to stand up and deal with it, me better for real, kind of like that. Them bending. Rasta Bear canoe believes it. Watch out for the merch when they jump directly. You don't want to see when they buy with the corner and cover the one, you know. I stay easy. Daily. Straight Jim. When me Maya Mopan Indian chief, you got someone who wanna be a chief. You wanna be Indian, but I don't know chief. They can't deal with you that Indian chief for real. I'm smoking it down, I'm fire. Fire dice. Want to respect to Miss Elda. Carl Villanueva. Yeah, real. Mr. Jack Charles, they probably got keep on the show in a little while. And he Bala. Bala, my next door neighbor from Waterloo, no. I watch nothing about that. A linkage. Never for me name, couldn't leave it. Boom. When me. I stay. That's so pretty, believe it, my brother. So pretty, that pretty, my brother. Green. When me smile. We keeping it rigid. Still out there. Saturday 23rd. The operator K, Derek, in the building. BDANY. Arabian Night Under the Stars. Always remember, never forget, cause all road lead to that. Incoming, don't know. I approve. Easy. Just so you know, the June shipment. Aim. Just so you know. Check it out. We're gonna run it through the day, so if you don't get it out right now, no worry, we'll come back again directly. Throughout and throughout. Well, anyway, Monday, we can't do without Tuesday money, see there. But the Bronx International, well, Belizean, American United Organization annual fundraiser dance, first annual. I will take the first step to make the thing jump, really. Respect to Mr. Colin, respect to Shine, all the DJ in the building. Lover boy, giant, they all know. Don't know what's wrong. Bill Gates money in here. Elton Musk money in here. Driver. Respect to my brother David, don't know. Foundation, where we get it from. You understand me? Oh. Jump the message while messages come through the drum. I tell them more about that as they go along too.
Because we really like to realize people live. When it comes to earthquakes like judging. General the ball. Ready for get no forgive. Aggressive, assertive, attentive, innovative. Black people representative. We want to just lean back and check the motive. Sing out. Right now the youth and they kill one another. Right now in the time where they pray to the Father. Right now, Billy's under fire. Right now, right now, right now, right now the youth and they kill one another. Right now in the time where they pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Blind lead the blind, prophecies fulfilled. Signs of the time when Satan billions them call it white collar crime. Granny scrape the pennies, but they cannot find a dime. One around under them folk and wine. Then they try this time mankind. Choke them like it's not from behind and bleed to the eye when they bind the twine. Got them see on decline. Moral fabric of society on decline. Ecosystem on decline. Them could have started the one thing they can't find. And that's a peace of mind. Right now the youth and time. I believe that massive, me begging the people to live progressive because we really like to realize it will live. When it comes to earthquakes like judging, general the ball, ready for get no forgive, aggressive, assertive, attentive, innovative, black people representative. We want to just lean back and check the motive. Sing out. Right now the youth and they kill one another. Right now in the time where they pray to the Father. Right now, Billy's under fire. Right now, right now, right now, right now the youth and they kill one another. Right now in the time where they pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Blind lead the blind, prophecies fulfilled. Signs of the time when Satan billions them call it white collar crime. Granny scrape the pennies, but they cannot find a dime. One around under them folk and wine. Then they try this time mankind. Choke them like it's not from behind and bleed to the eye when they bind the twine. Got them see on decline. Moral fabric of society on decline. Ecosystem on decline. Them could have started the one thing they can't find. And that's the peace of mind. Right now the youth and they kill one another. Right now in the time where they pray to the Father. Right now, Billy's under fire. Right now, right now, right now, right now the youth and they kill one another. Right now in the time where they pray to the Father. Right now. Spread the news to your brother right now, right now, right now, right now. Them boy, they move savage. Poor people need 10 more stimulus package. So all them food, but don't cause all the damage. Boom. Case I don't find nothing in the wreckage. Big cigar, hunting cottage, white for the globe check. Horse and carriage, look like they want with the start eat out the garbage. Bump that, red dot, melon face bust like cabbage. Wake up, smelling raw sewage. Chunk of stomach to digest all the carnage. Poor people up again, no leverage. So them left with the whole is sinking luggage. Them boy, want to get the message. Read the Bible, but miss certain passages. Collins, pop to cottage. Can them like once again. Collins. Right now they use them, they kill one another. Right now in the time for the pray to the Father. Right now, Billy's under fire. Right now, right now, right now, right now they use them, they kill one another. Right now in the time for the pray to the Father. Right now, spread the news to your brother. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Blind lead the blind, prophecies fulfilled. Signs of the time, 20 billions and college white collar crime. Running straight the penny, but they cannot find a dime of it. One run another them coke and wine. Then they try mankind. Show them my face, not the wrong behind. And please to the eye when the vine with wine. Other than the economy, on decline. Moral fabric of society, on decline. People system, on decline. Them to the start of the one thing they can't find. And that's the peace of mind. Right now.
Kingdom Apparel will be in the building in a minute. So don't watch nothing. Yo, this man, this is my logo right there. That's my logo right there. Watch it. Yeah, I love this logo right there. So Belmo Pan my hand, boy, is wicked. Really in their chief. I don't watch nothing. You know the material in the color directly, right? You know the birds is out the record. Because go down and supply things, see smoke, see that boom fire. Yo. Alright, by next week we should have this one in a pocket. That one we should have in a pocket. By next week that one we should have. And the Kingdom Apparel and they run all day. So it's nothing. See big Z mixtape thing. Watch out, crucial. My general. One Lenny, still Lenny there. Want to have Lenny, want to have Errol. All my general, they check it for me regular, but want to big respect to the boy every day. Cause yeah, the man keep me going to this thing, you know what I mean? See the killing thing there? So anyway, back to the dealer. Yeah, we out. I see. Why?
Boy, you got the bump on my face. Before you go clean out the back of your own place. In this rock race, we award you first place. Boy, you got the bump on my face. Before you go clean out the back of your own place. In this rat race, you must win first place. We have been in the basement, we stay in the basement. Friends like some of them, replacement. This one won't be the back on the neck, hard like cement. Encasement, and he slid up on them belly like some real serpent. Moving well negligent. Things said when they chant to the negative compliments. All of them derogative statements. The room I may live my heart with them enlistment. Eating and moaning, carrying in bereavement. No one next to them at all, not even adjacent. In case of some rocks displacement. Boy, you talk with the bump on my face. Before you go clean out the back of your own place. In this rat race, when I want you first place, what? There's a body bump on my face. Before you go clean out the back of your own place. In this rat race, you must win first place. The boy talk like you just swallow one whole CD. You try to treat a big dog like one lily puppy. Pretend say, like you hear me decree. Start behaving like the G-monkey. True me live my life with simplicity. No mean it's simple or just humility. Self-preservation in these times is the key. Got to protect our identity. Boy, you got with the bump on my face. Before you go clean out the back of your own place. Inna this a rat race, I want to first place, boy. Get a body bump on my face. If we're looking out the back of your own place. Inna this a rat race, you must see win first place. My imperfection, that will make me perfect. Judge a high voltage, them can't short circuit. While in the pitch, like Concaster market, make it charge me God, that inna my index. Me know they say, no man no perfect. Some situation tends to get complex. How about like when I meet you in a traffic, you smile, like you make out a plastic wall. They talk about the bump on my face. If we're gonna clean out the back of your own face. Inna this a rat race, I want to first place, boy.
They talk about the bump on my face.
If we're gonna clean out
The back of your own place. Inna this a rat race. You deserve first place. Inna this a rat race. You deserve first place. Yeah, Mr. G. Michael should be coming up in another 20-30 minutes along with Mr. Leonard Brackett. That one I know you'll enjoy. Big respect to the travelers, like I said, on the road. John Lindo with the man that said, I'm a general, that one was to real. One king.
Make no riot, so they make noise easy.
They make noise easy, brother.
I wave me and my boy, white
They
need no gimme, to make the lyrics bubbly. No need no fire upon no stick, make them get ball like a wing. So they jump up in the air, some white heat well, ring bout the lyrics like yeah. No need no gimme, to make the lyrics bubbly. No need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wing. So they jump up in the air, some white heat well, ring bout the lyrics like yeah. Music, I don't know, it's gun, and a toy, some boy, me telling us on the mock.
Pull up that.
Easy squeeze, make no riot, so they make noise easy. See why alongside Wavy and my boy, White They don't need no gimme, to make the lyrics bubbly. They don't need no fire upon no stick, make them get ball like a wing. Then they jump up in the air, some white heat well, ring out the lyrics like yeah. They don't need no gimme, to make the lyrics bubbly. They don't need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wing. Then they jump up in the air, some white heat well, ring out the lyrics like yeah. Music, I don't know, it's gun, and a toy. Some boy, me telling us on the most realize whole road done change. Watch me like the words out of my mouth is changed. Some you know it have to get rearranged. You don't need money to get up. Hotter than pepper when you sing. Why you have to listen so bitter? You get opportunity without responsibility to you reality. You don't need no gimme, to make the lyrics bubbly. No need no fire upon no stick, make them get ball like a wing. When you jump up in the air, some white heat well, ring out the lyrics like yeah. You don't need no gimme, to make the lyrics bubbly. You don't need no fire upon no stick, make it ball like a wing. When you jump up in the air, some white heat well, ring out the lyrics like yeah. Violence prevention, prevention. Why you have to spit with some of bad intention? So I'm gonna say it, social be. What's the seed far close to the G? You know, say retire that the negativity plus you say the complete. Even though you have dollars, they fall like rain. Still want drive in another man. There ain't no gimme, to make the lyrics bubbly. No need no fire upon no stick, make them get ball like a wing. When you jump up in the air. Easy squeeze, make no riot, so they make noise easy. See why alongside Wavy and my boy, White There ain't no gimme, to make the lyrics bubbly. No need no fire upon no stick, make them get no riot, so they make noise easy. Lyrics bubbly, no need no fire upon no riot, so they make noise easy. Lyrics bubbly, no need no fire.
You supposed to get started.
Yo. We don't need no gimmick for the big thing.
Gonna jump up in the air. Somebody beware. Ring bound the bricks like fear. We don't need no gimmick to make the bricks fight. We don't need no fire pan, no stick. Make it fun like Holly. Gonna jump up in the air. Somebody beware. Ring bound the bricks like fear. Music and a noise, gun and a toy. Some boy need to see on the most realize. Whole flow done seeing. Watch me like the words out of my mouth is seen. Some you know it set up to get rearranged. You don't need money to get up. Hotter than pepper when you see. Why you have to be some sort of you get opportunity without responsibility to you reality. You need no giving to make the lyrics properly. No need no fire upon no stick to make it fall like always. When you jump up in the air, somebody beware. Ring out the lyrics like fear. You need no giving to make the lyrics properly. No need no fire upon no stick to make it fall like always. When you jump up in the air, somebody beware. Ring out the lyrics like fear. Violence prevention, prevention. Why you have to respect with some of my intention? So I'm on stage, social TV. What's the seed? Far close to the G. You know, say retire that the negativity plus you say the company. Even though you have dollars, they fall like green. Still want drive in another money. Give me, to make the lyrics properly. No need no fire upon no stick, to make it fall like always. When you jump up in the air, somebody beware. Ring out the lyrics like fear. No need no give me, to make the lyrics properly. No need no fire upon no stick, to make it fall like always. When you jump up in the air, somebody beware. Ring out the lyrics like fear.
Yeah. We have your own race, see there? Yeah. With the social distancing before it became a trend. We made it pick back up long before when they made use it as blend. And then again, we sit under the corn before we even turn the bend.
Line them off and get just.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we just get into this thing. Early juggling, like I say. I'm gonna run a 2 commercial phone right now, so look see what go on, and then we'll get back to it.
Can't leave break now. Can I get a break there, Kevin?
Get ready to jump in the
Chris. Wala. Yun. Shit.
You can't leave break now.
They're ready to film my clap sound.
Can I get that break there, Kevin?
They're ready to jump in.
Big money, big song. Big money. Until the sun comes down, and I'm gonna run this down. Big money, big gold. No big bad man upon the run. Until the sun comes down, and I'm gonna run this down. From me, Miss Smile with a truant, defiant. Non-compliance, they push the shot in our boy face. Smart things of a giant, plus to the farm, no alliance. Yet we remove more weight than Home Depot move appliance. We are the one we are going to change on science to science. Enter dance all whole up guns and horns. Blue sexy album, but it lacks romance. We sing again, big body, big song. We have enough big bad man upon the run. Until the sun comes down. And I'm on the run this down. Big body, big goon. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Farmer General. I do what I gotta do. I take my chance, that's what I was gonna do. Cause good for me, certainly not for you. Everything on this earth is gonna be a lady kind of fun. Just me, something but it's secret me, sitting with me. Don't work on your neck all away, that you really keep the taking off. Oh no. I think I have to find another job. Don't tell me you ain't got it. Told you that you ballin', never told you that you need to spend $1 million. I'm over budget, then you run the daily solid. You know you probably need it, then you fuck it sorry. You didn't wanna run up in the place with the jolly and you take your money. Then you live like you live like you. See you think you funny, keep your head up. Oh, five, for the thing to be for money, yeah. I can't follow the crowd, I gotta follow my phone. I can't make the scene back, I need my phone. I think I'll slave, I'm a demigod. God give me power to control the universe. I can't follow the road, yeah, I need my phone. What do some of them go when I body back to people that are unboarded? They get the job that they work and don't let me job and made up rewarded for the promise just regarded. get said. Don't get me started with it. Always second, yeah, you make me second up. I made a wrong turn. I made a new that. I gotta be my car. You gotta be the car. But yeah, no, my head and my eyes. She hit the fan. You gotta win now. I'm not gonna let it show up. Where will you get the money from? The one I got everywhere. The book I love. SMS. Where will you end up? If the system did, then we'll be in love. Yeah. I gotta follow the crowd, I gotta follow my own. I gotta make it seem bad, I need my own. I keep no stand on my daily life. God, keep it following me, so I need it back. I gotta follow the crowd, now I need my own.
What do them? What do some of them? That's my general, farmer general. Straight out of the camp. Straight out of the camp, no joke. Straight out, Studio One. You know what I mean? Blazing Posse, respect to the Blazing Posse all day. You dig what I mean? Straight out of Florida. So the band say. Everyone wants to respect to home. To Mr. Herbalist, the herbalist, yeah. I definitely want to respect to the herbalist. Don't know. Straight out of Florida, seeing all the wives there think Papa White. When the man say Pops, foundation massive. Long time. And Nelson Cruz here, Plum B, what the man say? Gary, you alright over Gary? Gary, you cool? Baba, everybody over there, so yeah. Ras Rico, what the man say? You don't hear me at all. Anyway, we're gonna clear. I run on 2 more things, man. We check out 2 more stats. Because say, make we see. Oh,
Yes.
yo, the tackle. We merch the way that
No
believe.
mercy, no mercy.
You know,
I'm feeding a song by a peanut butter sandwich if we think so that it's thirsty. This technique.
like I say it again for who never understand just now. We merch the way that believe. See the Kingdom Apparel. You know, limelight, not to watch nothing. You know, see more and more of this as we go along. See the young lady in the first, you see that Kingdom there, that we that. Just say that to know. Make us only from front hand if you don't believe. Watch this. Boom, fire. See there. You can widen it and check it if you don't believe. Kingdom Apparel, Rastabera, we run things all the way for you. So next logo where they jump down here. Oh, the 501. Then when they push out the collar, they push out the collar Elizabeth. Make her breaks it again. When they push out the collar Elizabeth, they sound the record with the burr. Don't know. Burr is right. All in the door. Out of mercy.
You know, some way up peanut butter sandwich if we think so that it's thirsty.
Remember to cap this.
This technique to come all the way from out of the blaze and jungle.
Me give me teachings
from the mount out of the Mayan temple.
Them say see.
Why? Humble, gentle, and respectful.
But if I eat that
Take that test, then we have to move on the top.
Think you blink.
I like the Bermuda.
We know the chicken no.
We know the chick.
Yeah, I say we know the chicken no. Listen up. One time.
Tiger tackle. That is kind of we use when we battle. Tiger tackle. Master kung fu hard your main settle. Tiger tackle. We make drunken monster drink snapple. And if your hair snap up on the crackle, otherwise skitty tiger tackle. We don't come to the dance, this seek trouble. We come for hear him boy bubble. In me pocket, big fat bungle. Me and me girl with the model. It's fool start to act simple. With everybody, boy want rumble. Make a wrong turn, take a wrong angle. Face to face with the tiger tackle. Well, see how the fool they tingle. Cause them know him brains that get strangled. We no play when we buck up the devil grave. They got eat her, but use them shovel. Tiger tackle. That is kind of we use when we battle. Tiger tackle. Master kung fu hard your main settle. Tiger tackle. We make drunken monster drink snapple. And if your hair snap up on the crackle, otherwise skitty tiger tackle. We know the jingle fool, we know the jungle. We know the mumble, grumble, no fumble. If the tiger patch you want come stumble, then you know your cage must get rockled. right quick. Bust up your blood vessel, bounce your heart, I'm an nestle. About a test, mission impossible. From your own spinal cord, you are dangle. After than monster from a pickle, like you get what with piece of metal. Before you take your life, come here, come gamble. Play Russian roulette with a loaded rifle. Tagga tackle, tagga tackle, tagga tackle. These guys we use when we battle. Tagga tackle, tagga tackle, tagga tackle. Want some kung fu, have your main settle. Tagga tackle,
Mommy
tagga
King?
tackle, tagga tackle.
Yeah, man.
Everything Harry?
Yeah, fucking the truck start abstract myself, pa me.
Say it again.
The truck start abstract itself, pa me.
Oh
Man.
yeah. Well, you know our life, man. Yeah, you know our life.
I move
Long
on.
as the boy the boat. You see? You check?
Yeah, man. Everything up full.
Everything up full and bright right now.
Alright.
Just the balance after, you know, hold it down for me. Yeah, I'll let them on a road trip, like I say, with the diabetes crew, so that's good, you know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, safe travels, so you dig what I say.
Yeah.
I mean, you dig everybody, but the baby alright though. The wifey alright though. Yeah, I know it's Smokey gone again. We alright. My general that might take
Girl,
that.
you have the fat mountain.
Where is it a chip on Z?
Or even a orangutan.
It could have be a
gorilla. Pamela. With the comfort and funny song. And the way how you so sexy and crispy. Straight out of the 501. But not the sweat, not the worry. Trust me, you don't have no competition. Look like you're the smuggle illegally. Anytime you pass me moon, keeping up. You don't want you think that me mind is corrupt. Yes, we have to finish off. Expensive material out of your cost. You could be a billionaire if your bottle is up. Must be the little way, the way how you buff. You boggle me mind, no, girl, you have the fat mountain. When is it a chip on Z or even a orangutan? It could be a gorilla, Pamela, with the comfort and funny song. And the way how you're so sexy and crispy, straight out of the 501. But not the sweat, not the worry. Trust me, you don't have no competition. If you're the orange juice or a bee powder pop, could I be a hit to man the way how you struck? Baby got front, baby got back. Alone from the mountain top. Me have to pull your resume and get an interview. So you could better know me and I could know you. And if you have a string, bring her on too. Me have me bed ringing too. Girl, you have the fat mountain. When it is a chip on Caesar or even a orangutan. It could be a gorilla, Pamela, with the comfort and funny song. And the way how you're so sexy and crispy. Straight out of the 501. But not the sweat, not the worry. Trust me, you don't have no competition. Look like it is smuggled illegally and in your house. Anytime you pass me, don't keep it up. Me no want you think that me mind is corrupt. Yet we have to finish off. Expensive material out of the cut. You could be a billionaire if the battle is cut. Must be the little way, the way how you fuck. You boggle me mind, no fuck.
Up full, up full.
What the man say?
Up full.
Yeah, everything Chris and Corral about now, man. I have to make a run in the archives right now for some money. Watch this. Crucial. I'm going to the archives right now, my boy. What the whole thing stand down there? Where I look like down there?
Right now it's like 105 degrees in the shed.
Yeah, for real, 196 degrees in the shade. Damn, son. Fire for real. That's what it is. Sister Jules must be busy again, you know, she must get confused again, you know what she go. Man, this is that, you know, I love her to death. But anyway, rhythm. How you song over there?
Chris.
Huh?
Chris.
You song Chris? Alright. When the try test iron eye smoking and knows everything tight in the big ball tune in a one night, come to spread wings, take flight. Alright. Yeah. As we flow again. When the type of one test way, when we move, it don't full of trophies. Wicked chocolate.
Yeah. About it up. Yeah.
Is it real or is it memory? Feel I'm going to check the way you're going to correct. You're talking to me, mistake up a box of rice check. Yo, you see my boy on the left, my brother, then my boy didn't win the silver medal at Jamaica, you know. And boy look for running the Olympics. You check?
Yeah, man.
My general son, then my wife, real. Run it against Smokey, run it against
Alright.
Along with the check, the way you're stand correct. You're something to me, make up a box of rice check, zero side effect. Punish over the check. I am a spy, you get so me have to do it. Yeah, we can't believe it. Is it real or is it memory?
Yeah, your body. Yeah.
We can't believe it.
Banging.
What?
I said I wanna be a banging when that one drop. I need me.
I'm banging. I'm bang up on his neck. Quarantine, Coco. Think that no bang, you know.
They're really pulling out of the archive.
You know, you're right, sir. The guy's joking.
Yeah, bring out 2005.
Yeah, bro. But they are rape. They are thinking they jump for all through life. I don't know one seasonal thing. They think a global. They think I don't know joke. Because say you can play that anytime, anywhere, any day. For real.
Make sure you go inside. Okay.
Joke, boy. Why my grandmother's day race, you know? Just the other day we end up at Henderson Bank, so respectable to Henderson. My grandmother's day race, man.
That one gone.
Everybody come out, we got a race. I don't know anybody got a race, you know. And me and Francis and Calibert and John and Eli Balere. You know what I'm saying? We only cool set up, we only race, you know. You know what I mean? They depend on nobody, you know. Man, a man like depend on people too much smoking that. Respect to the man named Marcus all day, yeah, Chico, where they go on. Man like Albert Six. Don't know. Mr. Panny showed me today, you know. Yeah, win. Like I say, Al Brooklyn, Kenny out of Brooklyn, Kenny. Wham Charlie, Wham Son. Yeah, you're supposed to think, say like, oh, why general, why? Life by why? Don't know. Yeah, we may have we own Tory race. We never formulate or no or come up with nobody, collaborate with nobody. We set up itself. Because we own football team. Watch out for the sea smoke. 5-on-5 sea smoke. Bandidos. And we really jump next. Directly the next 2 weeks I tell about it, because something I'm wrong, you know. We talking it to existence today. Tough. I have to say tough from now. Nothing changed. One Francis, oh, yeah. Ray, big up to my boy Ray out of Jersey, same way. Dylan, all the good eye family, Eugene, same way. The whole Brown family, whoa. That, you know. Yeah. My big up Sherry, same way. Indira, same way. Cynthia, Rosalie, Anja. All the beautiful ladies on the planet.
Yeah.
I see you, Mr. Leonard. You see me? Mr. Leonard. Let me bring you on for interim while we wait for you, boy.
Okay,
Good afternoon,
no problem.
sir. How are
Good
you today?
afternoon. Pretty good so
sir?
far. Can't complain.
Yeah,
Thank
no
God I'm still
complaint.
alive and in good health.
Yeah, nobody not listening, you know. I'm waiting for your counterpart. I will call him in a little while, and then y'all will get to do your thing.
Okay, no problem.
No problem. Take your time. I'll bring you back on the screen in another 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just trying to get in touch with you ahead of time, not just to let you know
Yeah,
that I
that's
was
how we do
available.
it.
Huh?
That's how we do it. That's how we do it,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's
I
very
didn't want to wait till the
commendable.
last minute
Yeah,
and check in,
that's
and then
very
know if I'm
commendable.
still going to show up.
Very commendable. That's very commendable. That's very commendable. Watch out,
Okay.
you're live, you know.
Yeah,
When you
keep
come
up the
up
good
on
work,
me,
my brother.
you're live, you know, so I'll take you off for a minute.
What?
All right, bless. Yeah, Mr. Leonard Brackett waiting is in the next segment with G Mike. He'll be here another 10 minutes, and then we could get to that. In the interim, I will be. Let me get up a couple more announcements before they start. While we waiting.
Make life easy. Me done just make a new one. You said that how they make life easy. Well, this is a sea smoke. In a few minutes we'll be having Mr. G Mike show. He be representing from BZE, straight out of the city. Don't know how we do it. BZE all the way. I big up all man like Baltics. Big up all Banat crew.
So people say them fed up.
Kick down fence. I care. Speak easy. FDR to the world. Large Bank Records. All man like Farmer General. Ahmeds. J Ski's in the building. Man like Juice. Panama City crew. Gas International. DJ Biggs. Same one I got just now. All GLG is massive. Ballistic Records. Leave it, man.
Slack. See?
She tight now, machine come out from 2002.
Let's see. Come on. See.
Sea Smoke Production. Paper Mill. See that? That's why I want to change it now, right? All intake massive. 1,500 crew.
I don't want to make life easy.
All the people that want to make life easy.
Then a little bit for me.
But I'm meant to say, dismantle the transmission line.
Why you dismantle what? Done. What you mean dismantle what, dog? You need that. You need to get your face dismantled. That's what you need.
Bye.
I am G. Michael Reed, and it's time for the G. Mike Show.
The hell am I looking for, bro? Listen,
Sit down the buckle.
bring my man on.
You already know. Tune in.
You know the thing for me?
Oh, shit.
Ramji,
Yeah, bro.
The Belize Canoe Association, along with Maya
Ramji. I'll be there in a minute, you guys. Give me a second. One second.
You know what, my since I have to wait for your dad to roll that, never mind, let me see if my phone will charge. This thing don't charge my phone. Okay, it's charging.
When does that take go?
What?
When the connection to the
Babe, when you have him here, see if he can help you lift up them things down to the end of the road. That's what I was supposed to do with you today. Yeah, just wait. Just wait for her then. I'm still going to be here a little bit longer. Oh.
Never forget, G. Mike comes up. Yeah, let's see why this. Always remember and never forget, G Mike comes on live every Saturday at 2:30 BZ time, 4:30 Pacific on the Sea Smoke / Facebook or Ballistic YouTube show. You already know. Tune in. Welcome, welcome. I am G. Michael Reed, and it's time for the G Mike Show. Time for the G Mike Show. Time for the G Mike Show.
My little brother.
All right. Are we on?
How are you today, sir?
Wonderful.
Thing good?
Blessed and de-stressed.
Yes, Millie brother. I love it. 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 Anything you wanna say before we get to this? What's happening? What's going on along the way? I have a flyer for you that I got to give you. Remember, for the thing coming up this September. It's made already. I just got while you on right now. I'm gonna upload it probably. So is there anything else beside that?
Well, it's a rainy day in Belize City. It's been raining all day, and it looks like the rainy season is here. You know, we're from June to November.
Yeah.
And after this, the hurricane watch, you know.
Yeah, you reminded me about that a little couple months ago. You tell me, see why June the rain will start.
That's right. Every year it does.
Yeah. Like clockwork.
Like clockwork.
Like Jaworks.
Either May the 15th or June the 1st every year.
Dig it.
Come on.
All right, Bali General. I have Mr. Brackett in the wings. I'll bring him on, and then you know me. I'm gonna leave you guys up to that.
All right, wonderful.
All right, let me get some stats straight out here, not to confuse the people with your thing and my thing. You know how we go. And then I'm gonna let you guys go, okay? Let me get off that thing running on the bottom right there, and I'm good. Have fun, guys.
So we're straight. All right, folks. As usual, we're doing a little chit chat here on this Saturday afternoon. We do this 2:30 Belize time every Saturday, and of course it's 4:30 East Coast time, and on the West Coast I believe it must be 1:30. Today's guest is a gentleman who is known in some circles. I don't know as widely known in America as he is in Belize, but certainly in Belize his name is known and associated with some of the political situation. We'll get to that later on. Of course, I speak of no other than Mr. Leonard Brackett. Mr. Brackett, good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Mr. Matt.
All right. Well, you know, I follow you on Facebook, and you're almost as prolific as I am in your postings, and a lot of it almost as controversial, because a lot of things you say I've seen responses to them that aren't always affirmative. I mean, not everybody agrees with everything that you say, but obviously you have no problem with that, it seems, do you?
No, sir. We're all entitled to our own opinions, even though not necessarily our own facts, you know. So I don't have no problem with that. You know, I'm always willing to agree to disagree, and let people be able to exercise their basic civil rights, you know, and just hold their own opinion until they can be informed further.
Do you think that people too often confuse opinions with facts and state them dogmatically as if it is when it's in fact only an opinion?
Very much so, including myself, which is part of what drives me to always try to excel, to acquire the knowledge necessary before I open my mouth and speak to any issue, you know.
All right. You were involved with politics. You were telling me a while ago that, in fact, you were instrumental in the formation of the United Democratic Party. How did that go, and what role did you play in that?
Well, I'll take you historically back to 1971, and I could take you before that, but I'll take you at 71 because that's the genesis of what started out to become, what ended up becoming UDP. In 71, we had the NIP joining with the UBAD party to do the city council and town board elections, basically the municipal elections. The reason why is that the NIP at that time had been split in two by Mr. Dean Linder. He wanted to become the leader of the party, and decided to run for the leadership, and he lost the leadership in '69. So in '71, he chose not to be associated with us when the elections were called. So Mr. Golson had to go and ask Evan, since Evan at that time was the man of the street. He controlled the youth and had the vibrancy of the movements on the street power, we call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we needed that support, and therefore, Mr. Golson went and negotiated with Evan, and Evan was very agreeable to come and try and help us out, in terms of going up for the election. So we did participate in the election, but PUP at that time was a juggernaut for decades before.
Who beat Mr. Lindo in '69?
Mr. Golson.
Okay,
the leadership of the party.
Was that the time around the era when he was the only representative in the House?
Right.
So the NIP was not necessarily a very strong opposition at that point, and certainly not a strong political party.
No, it wasn't. And then having been divided into two parts thereafter because of this internal issue with Mr. Lindo made the party a lot weaker, which is what motivated us to go to have Evan and his movement join with us for the council and town board elections. And therefore, we had the NIP-UBAD coalition.
Now, you speak of Evan's street creds as such. What?
At that time, he was very...
Yeah, but then he came on board.
I'm sorry, I'm talking over you. I'm sorry.
No. He came on board with the NIP. How much of a difference do you think he made towards strengthening that party and bringing it up to the UDP that eventually won in 1984?
Well, I'll tell you, there's two sides to that particular coin, right? One side is that, yes, he was very instrumental with the youth power because at that time, most of the young people in the especially in Belize City, were aligned with his movement. And it was a massive movement. I was part of the young people that associated with him. He came to Technical to teach us, and myself and Charles Adderley, Rufus. At that time he was Gillett, Rufus X, and a bunch of young people. We call them the well, Evan liked to refer to us as the spare trawers.
Okay.
But that's basically, what we were. We were the no give a damn group of young people that didn't take too much crap from the older heads or the political entities of the day.
So 1971, it started to
UP
pull
wiped us
together,
out.
and you lost.
Yeah, big time.
Then it was not, of course, until 1984 that you were able to wrest power finally from the PUP. You had held it for somewhat 50 odd years or something like that.
Well, I'll go a little earlier than that. After '71, when we had the election in December, I went and I spoke with Mr. Golson, all dejected and disheartened, because we thought that with the street creds of the UBAD, that would have mustered up the party a little bit, and we would have made a little bit of headway, and that was not to be. So I went and I mentioned to Mr. Golson that at the time I was doing a survey, house-to-house survey, as part of the campaigning that we used to do before. And the survey was indicating that people were frustrated with the opposition entities because we had split up, and they were like, basically at that time, NIP, the original NIP, a faction of the NIP, the PDM, and the UBAD. And if we couldn't beat PUP when we were together as one singular entity, how can we then beat PUP, dividing up ourselves into three other entities?
Who was PDM?
Mr. Lindo party. He broke out from the executive from the NIP and went and formed his own party.
Tell me something. In 1981, of course, still under the PUP, we achieved independence.
Right.
Do you think,
with specific conditions?
Do you think that Belize was ready for independence?
I would say Belize should have been ready for independence and should have gotten full independence, unlike what we have today, which I like to provoke people by telling them that we have a conditional independence, and then I explain to them my reason for such analysis or conclusions. But that's neither here nor there right now, because we're dealing with with another point that you brought up, right? And the bottom line is that any country, no care how nascent they are, how small, how unsuccessful, how basically my problem is that I didn't want my country to become an independent pauper at the mercy of Guatemala. I'd rather live 7 years in Guatemala. I knew what the Guatemalan teachings was. I knew what the Constitution said. I knew how they related to their indigenous people. And no way did I ever want it. Because when I was a little kid, they used to tell me that they don't want the black people in Belize. All they want is the land. And the Negritos could just go into the Caribbean Sea and go drown themselves as far as they're concerned. So I'd always held a hostile attitude towards any Guatemalan takeover or any Guatemalan talk,
But that's interesting, because if living 7 years in Guatemala, obviously they weren't so anti-Negrito as you suggest.
Because I used to make a fool of myself. I'll tell you a joke about that too. I mean, it was a different kind of, I used to dance, I used to sing, I used to box, I used to swim. I was the national champion for Guatemala in 1962 in my category. I was supposed to go to represent them at the Central American game, but I won first place, and they told me because I wasn't a Guatemalan, I was Belizean, they could only offer me second place. And I got despondent, and I decided to hell with them, and I went to San Salvador for 9 months. My grandmother never knew where I was.
Interesting. But now you were like most oppositions at that time, like most opposition members, against independence apparently, and in fact, quite a number of the.
No, Mike, please stop, sir, please. Let me talk over you for a second, because you're propagating something that is, for decades have been propagated falsely.
Explain that.
You know what the NIP party was? NIP, National Independence. We were never against independence, so please.
But what was the party? Did not the party just before independence go on hunger strike? They even quite a number of the members went on a hunger strike because they did not want independence. Did not Shobo Brong?
There were some people that didn't want independence, and I'm surprised. Full stop. And then there are people who were politically inclined, like myself, who would have accepted the independence under Mr. Price, and we negotiated with him to have him get the independence under his leadership, but under the condition that we get independence within the Commonwealth. That was our bargaining chip.
But isn't that what happened, though, sir?
Exactly. So he prevailed, and we prevailed. In other words, the baby was cut in two, and we satisfied each other's objective. He was able to acquire the independence. He couldn't get independence without yielding something to us, and that was our bargaining chip.
And what were you against? Because you're saying that
we didn't want to become an independent country in Central America as a republic. That Guatemala, with this thing over our head, as this Damocles sword over our head, and Guatemala being a bigger country than us that could provoke us into a war and do whatever they want as international rules. If you're a big country or a small country, no care what country you are, if you start a war and you lose territory, tough luck. That's the process of geopolitical affairs. Okay, we did not want to find ourselves in a defenseless pauper situation.
But then you were.
So we wanted a defense guarantee. Britain refused to give us a full defense guarantee. They gave us a partial guarantee up to a certain point, and they figured that after that point we would have come into our own and would have resolved this Guatemala issue, and move on. But that was not to be, because Guatemala would not have this issue resolved if they can't have Belize. Belizeans, I'm sorry.
I sense a contradiction, because you're saying that you weren't happy with independence because we weren't getting a full independence as such. But then you said you wanted a full defense guarantee. So we got it within the Commonwealth, but you wanted more than that. You wanted to see the defense guarantee signed that England would stay and defend us always. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily. I mean, every country, if you're an independent country, no care how small you are. Look at Israel. Not that we are Israel, but I'm just saying, no care how small you are, how poor you are, if you have pride, dignity, and patriotism, You could do wonders with a small country. There's a lot of small countries all over the globe that have done wonders, under with full independence, but most of them didn't have any big country next door
Exactly.
claiming them or trying to dispossess them of their land or whatever. We had a
Exactly.
unique situation. There's no country in the Caribbean that is actually being claimed by adjacent country, except you say maybe Haiti and Dominican Republic, but every other country, is not like us. You don't have a big
Well,
country besides them, outrightly claiming through history for hundreds of years, basically their territory.
which is
And
what.
even though we got I'm sorry. I
No,
keep,
man, don't apologize.
no,
'Cause
you was about to say something, and I didn't want to lose what you was
no,
about to
just
say.
make your point when you're making your point. But like say, we could talk to make a point, but then beyond that, they kind of like they stretch it out, no?
Yes, but you was about to say something, and I
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah,
benefit from what you was
yeah.
about to say rather than just
Right,
keep babbling myself.
Well, what I wanted to say was that we were talking before me and you about the Queen and the money, and whether they should take the Queen's image off of the money. But with Guatemala always over our shoulders as such, and with this matter not claimed, that not settled by any means, you seem to be in favor of removing the Queen and going.
No, wait, stop for a second.
Okay.
You jump ahead of me again.
No, let's go.
You put me in an awkward situation. I am not in favor of dispensing with the Queen. No, am I advocating that we should always have the Queen? My impression and hopes is that at some point in time we will be able to elect our own president and our own head of state. That is my hopes and objective. I may not live long enough to see it happen.
Could we start?
But in the interim, I want our government and our people in our country to find a way to get rid of this Damocles sword from over our head.
But then you're against.
It depends on how they do it.
You were against going to the ICJ, which is the way to get the sword off of our head.
Some people have also instigated the concept that Mr. Golson was against going to the courts or to the ICJ, which was never the case. Neither Mr. Golson nor myself, nor many other people have ever objected to going to the ICJ. It is the condition under which we end up getting to the ICJ. We should not have been negotiating in Guatemala any side deals and give them any stick we broke over we had. Okay, that is my objection.
Who should have been negotiating? Who should have been negotiating? Because somebody has to negotiate. We either negotiate or we fight. Isn't that right? So you're saying we should not have been negotiating. Who do you believe should have?
Let me clarify.
Yeah.
For the public benefit of yourself and myself and everybody else listening, right? Let me clarify what my position really is. I have no fear of or hesitation to go into the ICJ. If we're going to go there to validate our Bangui Treaty that was signed by Guatemala and has been in force until they decided last century that they wanted to repudiate it, which could not have happened under international law because it was a signed, accepted, registered treaty and had been in force for literally decades and decades and decades. And one party cannot arbitrarily, according to international law, just rescind or dispense with the treaty. It's an obligation that both parties have to live up to.
Do you trust the ICJ?
I don't have no problem with the ICJ. It's what we're going to go there for. We are going there right now to go and litigate Guatemala's multiple claim against us for land, sea, insular areas, islands. Basically, and when they ask the Guatemalans, okay, and what about the other half, I believe, they say they'll come back to that later on. The man, then they play ahead games with we, and then try to intimidate into a situation of surrendering to them what they can't get under international law and could not have gotten by force, which they said they wanted to take the country by force or by reason. They can't get it by reason or by force. By force, the British were always blocking them off from being able to do anything with us. And by reason, they could not prevail in a court. So they refused to go to the court Mr. Golson was asking them to go to the court. And before Mr. Golson, the British, they were also asking them to go to the court to validate the treaty. They don't want to validate that treaty. They want to eviscerate that treaty, which is what our local Belizean government assists them to do
by going to the
providing them with
ICJ?
the side agreement.
By going to the ICJ?
Going to the ICJ, the condition for us to go to the ICJ should have been to validate our treaty.
But you can't go to the court to get what you think should be. We're going to see what is fair. Isn't that what you do to always go to court? We need to go to see that Guatemala is a claim on Belize. Belize says no.
Guatemala has no claim.
What do you mean they don't have a claim?
Stop propagate your result. I go you said I believe.
Hold on.
There was never a legitimate claim. We assist them
to
process that into a legitimate claim.
Mr. Brackett. What?
Anybody could claim anything for anybody else.
Exactly. So what are you saying? Guatemala has a claim.
They cannot go into no court without a valid claim or some valid and justifiable reason. They cannot go to court and just argue against themselves for a claim that they manufacture out of the thin air against Belize or any other country. Do you know that Guatemala have a piece of Honduras right now for the virus and all those areas that they don't want to give them back?
Hold on.
They have a claim there too, right?
Hold on, man. Let's stay where we are, man. I'm not that smart. I'm not like you to deal with all issues at one time. You're saying that Guatemala could not go to court without a valid claim. But you're saying that they don't have a valid claim. What are you saying? Because we are going to court. And in fact, Guatemala wanted... excuse me for speaking while you're interrupting.
Okay.
I'm trying to say something.
Sorry.
Are we going to the court to settle this purported claim? Is that what we're going for? It is not what we're going to the court to do. Settle it to see whether it's valid or not, whether they have a claim, a legitimate claim or not. Is that not why we're going?
Were it not for the failures.
No, but see, all right, go ahead. Speak.
Of our leadership and the people who are supposed to be our diplomats working on our behalf, when in fact they were advocating against our best interests and our interests.
Mr. Brackett,
not because of the situation that they put us in, that we are in now. Because we are at the court right now. The documents are being processed at the court. The process is going on. We should not have been there the way we are there now. Is my contention.
Would you have been happy if Mr. Golson had led us to the ICJ?
I don't care who lead us there. It's the process what they're trying to achieve.
Explain the process to me that you would have considered ideal for us to go to court.
First and foremost, anybody, and I'll say this outrightly now, right? Anybody who conspired against Belize to help Guatemala get us to go with them to the court, as we are currently today, have blood on their hands, Belizean blood. Okay?
What do you mean that? You mean anybody who voted yes? Who conspired? Who conspired to help Guatemala to go to court?
You asked me the question the other day, are the people to be blamed for them voting to decide to go to the ICJ? The people were bamboozled by people who knew better and who should have known better and who were able to do better. They railroad an uninformed process and get the plebiscite to acquiesce to their... They tell us we have the best lawyers that money can buy. They tell us we have this, we have that. The case is so solid. They came up with all kind of rigmajig. And today, yet, where the hell are they now sitting in terms of facilitating us or being successful at the ICJ where they put us?
Where are we? We're fighting the case, aren't we? Are we not fighting the case in court? Do we not have lawyers representing us, sir?
We're being taken advantage of, sir.
How would you say
we're being
that
put in an uncompromising situation where we are the only one that have to lose? Guatemala has nothing to lose with the way they have this stuff set up.
Are you saying that we cannot win at the ICJ?
Neither did I say that, because I have hopes that we will win, despite the fact that we have checkers and treacherous people manipulating our process.
Is it that you would have rather gone under the UDP than under the PUP?
No, sir. No, sir.
Well, do you believe
that's a political perspective. I don't hold things. This is a national issue.
let's stick to some short questions and some short answers so we could get
Yes,
to
sir.
a point
Okay,
of
okay.
what you're trying to say here. Because you're saying that you were never against going to the ICJ, and neither was Mr. Golson. But you don't want
Exactly.
to go, but you didn't want to go under the people
Under a
that have taken
manufactured
us.
process.
What's a manufactured process, sir? A referendum?
The
Was there
referendum
not?
was just a part of the manufactured process. The process is that for decades, Belizean governments, both under the UDP and PUP, have been kowtowing to Guatemala and playing games with Guatemala, signing side agreements with Guatemala, and putting those agreements under what you call secrecy acts, okay, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. To the point where when we came out and exposed some of the documents of the treacherous things that they were doing, they turned around and they said, we cannot publish or put that information out there for public consumption and awareness. Why? Because we were not authorized by them to expose their dirty deeds.
You mean like the
Don't
heads of
explain to me
agreement?
what I'm trying to say.
Hold on, no man, no
in
man.
your own words?
Keep it short, no man. You're
Yes, sir.
You're
Yes, sir.
stretching all over the place, man. You're talking about what you're talking about are like things like the heads of agreement, correct? That
All
you're
of them.
saying these are the things
All
that
of
you're all of them like what?
All those things get us to where we are today.
What things?
The heads of agreements, the Maritime Areas Act, the 13 proposals, the 17 proposals, the Placencia 13 agreement, the 1991 non-boundary acquiescence, and the what do they call it?
So you were
the
again
2000 Ramphal proposals, all these things, and the Maritime Areas Act, all these things are things that Guatemala have in their back pocket that we won't have to pay dues for.
You said all of that already, man. Were you against all these things? All these things that have transpired there, you were against those. You think they were all a part of
because
a plan?
they all, little by little, they all get us to where we are today in a defenseless situation.
But sir, you must concede that where we are today is an independent Belize with all territories intact. Guatemala has not invaded. Guatemala has not taken anything from us. We are at the court to see how we can work this out.
Mr. Reed.
Yes, sir.
Do you forget that a lot of people talk about how many square miles our country is?
Right. 8,800.
And there are parts of those square miles that is inaccessible right now to us Belizeans.
Where have you tried to go there? Have you tried to go anywhere in Belize and been prohibited from going?
Sir, we have the Sarstoon Island and the Sarstoon River, which half of it's supposed to belong to Guatemala and half to us, and the island belong to us.
It's all in dispute.
They're military and they're... Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
It's all in dispute. Aren't we going to the ICJ to see about all of this? And you're saying...
That is a conniving move on Guatemala part to grab hold of those property because they'll never give it back even if the ICJ says that they're not entitled to it.
Are you serious? How can they do that?
I'm serious. Dead serious. Which is part of my advocacy.
Do you know that the ICJ is the highest court in the world and the whole United Nations is behind them? And they
Are you not aware of how many nations have snubbed the ICJ and have refused to accept their rulings and implement? And some of them have even, some countries have actually just departed from the agreement with the ICJ to be a member or a part of the, and have, because they lost the cases or the rule against them. The United States is one. Russia is one. China is one. You know, there's a lot those are big countries, of course. I also made reference to those because they are big. Japan is one. You know, I mean, I have documentations and I have videos that I could with the record of these things.
These are all superpowers, and
there are small countries too. Nicaragua and Colombia.
But
Bakassi Peninsula.
Didn't they settle
in Nigeria?
Didn't they settle their affair? Didn't the ICJ just rule against, was it Nigeria in a matter, and it
they keep ruling, and the people, they keep refusing to accept the ruling. Guatemala is in a position to do the same because Guatemala has the assistance and support of one of the 5 members of the Security Council.
But what I'm trying to get at to you,
but they can snub anything that the
Guatemala has no part of Belize right now. None.
I
They
just,
don't have any
sir,
forces on the Sarstoon. They're on their side of the border. Isn't that
sir,
correct? We're on our side. They're claiming it. They're
it's
claiming it.
no. It's incredible that you'd make a sentence like that in a debate like this, when in fact the historical fact is that Belizeans have no access to that place because of their military and their navy having full control and decision making as to who even transit the area.
Well,
How are you not aware of that? Baffles me.
I watched on TV the other day when a boat went around the island. Though they were shadowed by the Guatemalans, but the boat full of Belizeans did go
More than
around
that
the
happened. A lot more than that has happened back and forth. You need to interview on that particular point some of the territorial volunteers who are physically being the ones. As a matter of fact, I'll go you one step further when I tell you about the treachery of our own government. Do you know that our government under the UDP recently made an SI to compel Belizeans to not put foot on that island and to go in that neighborhood,
because
which is contrary to our constitution?
Hold on.
And they could have been pulled into court, but it couldn't happen within 30 days, which is why they make the SI for 30 days limit.
Why would you want to
You understand
exacerbate?
Sorry.
Why
Finish
would
your
you?
thought. I'm talking over here again. I have that bad habit.
Why would you want to exacerbate a situation like exists there? Why would we want to? We can't fight Guatemala mano to mano. We need the strength. Well, so we need the strength of the international community. We certainly need England
which we had
to support us.
We had the high ground, and we see that high ground.
We still do. How did we seed that? With what? How can you say that statement? You keep questioning, how can I make a statement? How can you make such a statement? What has happened to make you think that we have lost?
When the territorial volunteer people, they went to the island to try and plant their flag, the Guatemalan military took it down and gave it back to free people, right? And chased the ass out of the area, telling them not to put foot back there. Okay? How, after we gave the Maritime Areas Act,
you know what's funny?
Some area there, right?
You know what's funny?
Do you think that we can go and take that back from Guatemala? Just like we said just now, we don't have them. We are withheld to be able to fight Guatemala. You think they can give that up back voluntarily?
You know what's funny? I see you glorifying the Guatemalans move, but you see no need to give proper.
No man, you double tap for me there.
Brave patriots. You got the brave patriots who went and planted the flag. You could at least look at that.
Why want to glorify Guatemalan move when I'm an advocate against anything Guatemalan in terms of Belize relations?
Did you say that chase we ass out today? Did you not say that? So then
with guns, militarily.
So you are.
And we soldier, we one foreign minister turn around when we soldier made a try stop to the Guatemalans them and sanction the poor soldiers them because they're not dressed properly, or we not got enough equipment to dress we soldiers compatible with Guatemalan forces, and they never had the kind of guns or the kind of they are half we poor boys them where they're not even they pay properly and treat right,
and then
put them on the block.
And you want them to
pretend
stand
like, well, they're at fault for instigating what the Guatemalans they were doing. That the Guatemalans and the hustle, we know we the hustle there. How can anyone turn that thing around and pretend that we are the aggressors or we are the ones that are hostile to Guatemala? I'm hostile to Guatemala's hostility towards us. That's what I'm hostile about. Because Mexico is not like that. Mexico don't relate to us as small as we are compared to Mexico. Mexico is far bigger than Guatemala, and they don't treat us like we Guatemalans treat us. But I'm telling you,
do I get a chance to speak here sometimes? Because but you rant and on, and I'm trying to interject with
because you change the points and so I have to adjust the points that you bring up.
I'm trying to clarify, and you refuse to let me do that. You keep going on and on as if by you speaking more, it will make your point stronger. It doesn't.
No. You made
your point. You've made your point.
Mr. G, I'm not of that persona, so I do talk a lot and I do get emotional, right?
We not go off into the idle chatter, man. We stick to the issue.
Okay.
Do you believe we have any chance of winning at the ICJ?
I definitely believe that we have a chance not only of winning, But I have okay.
But you didn't want us to go
I'm making a
under the
statement.
condition.
I'm making a bold statement, but because I know some of the things that I know, which I haven't explained, and therefore the bold statement in the context of what I have been saying before may not stand out or hold water or in other words, I'm making a conclusive statement now. That is that I don't see how, despite the treachery of our leadership and the things that our people have done to disadvantage us in this process, I still don't see how Guatemala can end up winning that ICJ process. Of course, mind you, any legal mind that will tell you that any case is so locked in and so tight that it can't be lost is taking you for a fool or is making a fool of themselves. Because any time a case go to court, any card could play.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay?
We know that. So now you're
Okay.
telling me,
But I'm saying that from what I know, the historical research that I have done, I've spent decades doing research on that stuff. I spent, you know, I dedicated the whole of my life to making sure that I learn and know as much as I could in order to be able to advocate adequately on behalf of my country, which means learning international law, learning history, learning anthropology, learning all these different things that will justify us in Belize being able to keep what we have, despite any other odds.
Unfortunately, you have
And I believe that we can win.
Unfortunately, you have no influence on how this case goes. However, with all that vast knowledge,
Wait, stop.
You might only could look at it. Stop.
Stop.
What can you do to make this case?
When you say I have no influence in how this case go,
right?
Okay.
Right.
There's nobody else that have any influence in how it's going to go because as far as the case is concerned, there's 15 judges at the ICJ,
right?
Of whom none of us who are advocating pro or contrary,
right,
to this process will be able to influence any of them.
You say
because
all that
the case will be presented by legal minds, by lawyers.
You say all that to say what? Because I can tell you why.
The point that you were saying to me that I have no influence over the process.
Right. Right.
You know, it's irrelevant.
So you telling me how much vast
but
knowledge
I was about to explain to you how I have influence over the process, and that is that why I educate myself on these matters to the degree that I did, to be able to inform people and to be able to get into the face of our own leadership in our country who are betraying us, and to be able to tell them where the hell they go wrong.
So would you,
even though I can't force them to go right, but I would tell them ask when they do wrong.
Would you answer a simple question?
Yes, sir.
Just a yes or a no. Do we
Yes,
have
sir.
a good chance of winning at the ICJ?
I just answered that question. You asked the question redundantly again.
No, you didn't give me
I
the
said
answer.
to you that as far as I know, and the knowledge that I have acquired, and the documentation and everything that is relevant to this case, there's no way that Guatemala can win, despite all the effort and the help that they have been getting from our own people.
So why would we be afraid of going?
It's not a matter of afraid to go. It's a matter of not wanting to go under the conditions that we're being hauled there or pulled there.
If the
we had a better, we had better cards to play.
Mr. Brackett,
Yes,
please,
sir.
1 minute.
Yes,
If
sir.
even under those conditions we still have a good chance of winning, why would we not go?
Sir, that question that's water under the bridge. We are already there.
Correct. Right.
The question is irrelevant.
Right.
You know, realistically speaking.
So the whole
It's
discussion
not
is
an offense. It's not intended to
the whole
offend
discussion
by
is
making a statement.
whoa, man. Stick
Right?
with it, no, man. Stick with it. Stay
Yes, sir.
with the
Yes, sir.
class,
I'm with you. Let's go along, man. I'm with you. I'm
so-
going along with you.
If the whole discussion is irrelevant, if that's the case, but I'm saying to you, you still believe that we should not have gone because of the conditions under which we're going, because of the people who are taking us there, because of particulars surrounding the case, but you believe that we have a good chance of winning.
Very much so.
Well, why would we not want to go? Is it a personal
So
interest?
I'm saying that we should not have had to go or be there as we are today. First of all, let me point on another
What
fact
would
to
you
you.
have
A
preferred?
fact. A
What?
fact.
No, I'm not
Go
gonna go
ahead.
there. Let's stick
Okay.
with it. What
Uh-huh.
would you have preferred us to do? Kick the can down the road?
Well, we've been doing that for over 100 years, haven't we? But I'm not saying that is the solution. So I'm going to agree with you that at some point in time, because we're neighbors, and the history of these two countries will forever be impacting on each other, one way or another, for good or for bad. The bottom line is we'll have ended up going to court at some point. I don't think that we should have had a special agreement ordering, because that's basically what it's doing, ordering the court to look into what we are asking them to look into on account to Guatemala, who is the one taking us to court
No,
on
that's
their
not
claims.
true. That's
Wait,
not true.
wait, and
That's
telling the
not true.
court,
Did we
we're
not have
limiting the
a
court in how the
hold
court
up?
is supposed to rule.
Did
What,
we not
what
have a
documentation,
referendum?
what process.
Did
All of
did
those have been
we
set up.
did we not have
Are you not aware of that?
simultaneous? Did we both not have referendums, both countries? Did
I'm
we
not
not?
talking about the referendum, sir.
No. But you're saying they're the ones
You see,
taking
now you're
us to
changing the
court.
point again as you did before,
No,
and I could go back and,
no,
explain, and talk to you on the
no.
referendum again.
Listen to me. Listen to
But
me.
we're leaving the other point
I'm going
hanging
by
out
what
there.
I'm going by what you said. You said that Guatemala they carry the court. They're not taking us to court. We're taking the case to court, both of us. Is that not true? Is that not true, Mr. Brackett? Are we not going to court to try to settle this case, albeit under conditions that you did not want to see, but you still believe we can win the case, and we most likely will, because there's no way, in your words, Guatemala can win. So why would we not go and we want to settle this case? We don't want to leave this hanging over the heads of our children, man. Are we that cowardly?
That is a presupposition. That's a presupposition.
That's all right. I understand you. Presupposition. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sir.
And it is. It is because
when we go to court, or if we had gone to court under the conditions that, other than the ones that we're there now, because there could have been many other conditions, right, under which we could have ended up being there, one way or another.
Does it matter?
As I intimated earlier.
Does it really matter if the outcome is the?
It should matter. It makes a difference. There's no need for us to give Guatemala any stick to drop over we had.
Only the outcome matters, Mr. Brackett.
Yes, but the outcome is affected. The outcome is affected by the input, and if we are providing the input against our own selves, we are self-incriminating. Then what the hell do we have a lawyer hired to go and advocate for us? So when we are undercutting that very lawyerly effort.
So you take back your opinion.
It doesn't make sense.
You take back your opinion. You take back your opinion.
I didn't take back no opinion.
You don't think we can win?
You asked me a fast and solid question, and I gave you that answer. But that doesn't change the facts. The facts are that we have been betrayed big time. We have been put in a situation where the potential, not that we are going to lose the country, but the potential that we are going to end up coming out of this court process unaffected is not reality. We are going to come out of this process not losing our country, as the question that you are formally asking me, but we are going to lose something or another.
What makes you think
Guatemala will not cease and desist, regardless of what court rulings, they will not cease and desist until they can get part of the lease. I don't know how hard it is for anybody to get that into their head, or why it's so difficult for people to actually believe that that is a reality.
If they were planning on doing that, why would they agree to go to court?
It's another bite at the apple, sir.
It's another
if they
bite
win,
at the apple. What do you mean?
Wait, if they win, if the court rule in their favor, you know,
they win. And if not ruling in their favor, then they will
we
do
don't
what
have
they want.
we don't have no way out of that process. Once the court rule, we have to follow whatever the court decides. Whether it's 1 centimeter of free country, 2 miles adjacency zone, whether it's the Maritime Areas Act that we can't get back because we already conceded, and the court can say, well, you already conceded.
Let us look at the Maritime Areas Act, which was suggesting that we give Guatemala access to the high seas. There's a corridor that where Honduras had to give a little bit, and we had to give a little bit. And high sea now, which we don't use.
Wait, there are 4 different things you're talking about right now. You see, you just make one sentence, right? But that one sentence relate to 4 different scenarios. Okay, but go ahead, sir.
No, but what you
can't. If I can remember, I'll come back at it.
You can't. You can't come back to it. I said, what are the 4 scenarios you talk about? Because I'm talking about one thing.
Okay, one, international law of the sea requires that we or any other country that's blocking in another country from access to the sea work out some arrangement whereby they can gain access.
Right.
Like I think you heard me said to you earlier in the conversation
But
that
stay
sir,
man,
wait,
you lose
let me finish the
you
thought. Let
lose,
me
but
finish
you,
the
yeah,
point.
but
Sir,
you
please. I know
elaborate
it's a
too
small
much,
show,
man.
a short show, but let me finish the
Yes.
point. I have to. I need to. I referred to you earlier that Guatemala has territory that belongs to Honduras, Puerto Barrios. That is the way that they gain access to the Atlantic. Okay? They rented that place from Honduras for 100 years, and after the 100 years was finished, they refused to give back the territory and are still holding on to those people in territory. Now, Livingston, before we bound the treaty, Livingston was a part of the territory that the Bay people used to control. You knew that? Maybe you knew that already too, right? That was given back to Guatemala through the 1859 treaty agreement for us to stay on this side of Sarstoon and Sarstoon becoming the dividing line so that they stay on that side and they end up keeping all of what was on the other side for them. We gave up territory. In the Cayo Benque area there was a big bulge going into the Petén area that we ceded back to Guatemala as a means of following the directive of those straight lines for the agreement, according to how it was written out in the agreement. Okay, and it was supposed to have been surveyed later on. You know, after the agreement was agreed to, they were supposed to have the commissioners from both countries get together and do the survey and finalize. Blah blah blah. The bottom line is the main markers are still there, and the direction of each of those borderline from marker to marker is agreed and established.
Right.
The bottom line is that Guatemala is saying that they do not recognize any of those realities in their new paradigm because there's no real borderline there.
Hold on
There's
a
no
second.
border between their territory. Belize is part of their territory.
I don't know if you understand what that is all about. It is because when they did it with a manual survey, now that there's a GPS, they can get a more definitive line drawn from marker to marker.
Are you trying to imply to me that you believe that it was only after GPS started being used, which was recent, that Guatemala was advocating wanting to take Belize or have Belize as part of their territory? Do you know that there was a
How do you get to that point? How do you make such an absurd statement and run past it like that true?
Because you said that GPS cars we don't have one border.
No, I did not say that, sir. May I explain it to you what I said?
Please.
I said that when they made the initial draw the line, is a line that draws from Garbat Falls to Gracias a los Dios, right? Or wherever the boat is. All right. Now,
go ahead.
When they did that, it was by a manual survey when a man peeped through one thing and draw a line. When GPS came on board, which is like a laser, which is a more precise way, there's a little sliver outside of the line.
And you think that's what Guatemala is claiming or trying to fight us or hustle us about?
How could you say that, man? Did I say that? What would you? What are you trying to get
a lot of
slick
people
about?
are implying that, sir.
No, that's not true. Nobody's implying that. I'm not.
In Belize, I've met a lot of people who are of that opinion. In fact, I'll explain to you something else.
Do you hold up?
With the Ranfal proposal, that's when that point came up.
No. I'll make you do that.
That's when that point came up with the Ranfal
make you do that.
White proposal.
Do I have to mute your mic? No, man. Listen to me now. Listen to me. Do you agree that if that line that ran from one marker point to the other is a little off because it was done manually as opposed to done with a GPS, which is more precise, that should not be corrected? Or is that what you're saying?
Sir, no. I advocated specifically on that point after the Ranfal White proposal came out in 2000, okay? I pointed out and I wrote a dissertation on that, multiple pages, commenting on the whole Ranfal
Come to the point, man.
thing.
Yeah, all right. So you're right.
And that is my specific point. That if the thing says, if the equipment says that it's either, on one side or the other a difference or a margin, then
Should be
so be it.
corrected.
Let it be
All right.
corrected.
So
I have
what's
no
what's the,
problem with that.
so what's the argument? How do you get to that point where you think
I'm
that by
telling
me
you that
saying
Guatemala
that
is not claiming any of those things
I
as
didn't
being
say that either.
deficiencies.
I
They're
didn't say
claiming the
that
whole
either.
damn country.
You told me they didn't claim nothing. You said I don't have no claim. That's what you said. Did you not say to me that
In reference
Guatemala?
to we country, in reference to you know what their claim is fundamentally set in the idea that Spain owned the whole of we country, and half of we country they should have inherited while Mexico inherited the other half
But
because
all
there was a
that is
difference
neither here
between
nor there, man. You do repeat things that are
wait,
common knowledge.
Interpol on it
This,
again.
all of this, the all of that you're saying is common knowledge and needs not to be said. It goes without saying.
History.
Yes, we all understand that. That is not what we're discussing here, Mr. Brackett. We're here sitting down hashing some stuff that is not, we shouldn't be hashing. And in fact, we spent the whole show to talk about the ICJ when a couple of other issues I wanted to, but you keep on expounding on things that's unnecessary, man. I asked you a simple question and you go off. I try to go from Belize to Hattieville and carry me through Boom, Sand Hill, Biscayne, all and come way back wrong. Make we just go from one point to the next, like Garbad Fall to Gracias a los Dias.
But that's where when things aren't explained, there's that room for confusion or misinterpretation of communication.
No.
You know?
No.
And that happens often.
When you explain it too much, you put in the complication. When there's
no, you have to contextualize, man. You have to add
we got a tendency to complicate simple things. May I speak? May I speak?
Yes, sir.
We tend to complicate, but you know, listen, because you keep on the talk. We tend to, may I say something now? You keep on, we complicate simple things and simplify complicated things. And it makes a simple argument turns very complicated. So, in unnecessary. With the talk, me and you the talk, go make it talk. Make it here. Go ahead.
Would you not accept the premise that we're dealing with complicated matters?
Of course. It is
when you talk about Belize and its sovereignty and its territorial integrity and the way how we own leaders them play shenanigans with people. It's a whole ball of wax.
You keep on interjecting.
The people cannot advocate on their own.
All of that, you done missed the whole point, man. All of that not necessary way to say it. Because it's understood. It's a complicated thing. You keep interjecting, but we leaders this and we leaders that, and what they do and what they not do. We all know we have corrupt leaders. We all know that the leaders not do what they're supposed to do. But the point that we are discussing is that we're going to the ICJ.
We are at the ICJ.
Yes, and you were dead set against going. I was staunchly in favor of
for
going.
reasons.
Under
the condition. It's not but you can't take one hard and fast statement like that, Mr.
Yes,
Mike.
you can, because
it's
simple.
Not fair.
Yes,
it doesn't do justice.
How does it not
do justice? It allows for misinterpretation or misunderstanding.
I am not trying to explain to you why I was in favor. You don't need to explain to me why you were against. You were against and I was in favor. Thing done. All of that no matter. You got a lot of reasons why, but none of them are valid from what you have been saying. They're not valid. Because you are saying, oh, because the leader's never gone and this one, and it's obvious that because they went under one political party as opposed to under the other, which is a frivolous matter, man. If we can
you the person you think from a political perspective, and I try to tell you that I, Leonard Brackett, when it comes to the integrity of my country, I do not put politics ahead of my country.
You put Philip Goldston ahead. You put Philip Goldston ahead of the country.
No. Stop overdoing. Stop exaggerating. No, you exaggerate.
No, man.
I tell you, as far as my country is concerned, to hell with any and every party. Do the right thing on behalf of my country.
Which is what? Go to the ICJ. Didn't you say that it's the right thing to go to the ICJ?
Mr. Mike,
so then, aren't you doing the right thing?
Going to the ICJ is an option, not the way it is being done today.
How would you
for them to actually you mix up apples and oranges and then you try but anyhow, go ahead.
How would you have wanted us to go? Give me an idea.
First and foremost,
what would have been ideal?
First and foremost, the British negotiated before that treaty with the Guatemalans. Them, okay, they have all the historical documents and the details of the negotiation and everything, and all that information should have been made privy to the ICJ for them to see exactly what took place at the time when that agreement was signed, delivered, and agreed to.
Don't you think
All
that
that
will be?
documentation should be available.
I
We
might have
believe
to
don't have
repeat.
that
You to
available to
repeat.
us.
You to repeat yourself, man, and you know to give me an
Come
opportunity
on.
to ask you a question. Do you think then that the ICJ is not going to look at all that information if it's relevant to the
We
case?
don't have it available to us.
Don't want to
We
know
do not
us.
have the British archive, and
We
they're not
don't
making
need
it
it.
available to us. We
They
are just
don't
going in there
have
with the
to.
hand in our pocket.
Hold up. They don't have to. The court is getting that information that they will make the decision, not us. You don't
The
get it.
court is getting what, Mr. Mike, please.
No, that's
The court
not
is getting what we submit and what Guatemala submit. The court is not going to go out there and do free research for we,
So the court
or
is
get
only,
free documentation for we, or prepare for we case for we, or advocate for we case for we. No, sir, that's not reality.
I think you're mixing this up. You
That
know.
is our responsibility.
This I know on Belize court, you know, because that's how Belize court work. They take things in favor of who they like and who they want to see. This is the international
Why
court.
we even go in our direction there? I don't see the relevance. I even go in our direction, but anyhow,
Well, if you could do it, I could
you
try
have
at
the
least
point.
one.
You have the point of all that.
I could try at least one time if you could do it every time. No,
Sorry.
the ICJ looks at all the particulars of the case. We have 15 learned magistrates, learned judges from 15 different countries throughout the world. This
Yes,
sounded
sir.
like because you, those who were against it.
Mr. Mike, I'm way up there with you, sir. I'm way up there. I study international law, I understand international law,
But
and
see,
I
you
understand the
keep
whole
on, you
process.
keep on to throw the
Okay?
accolades
So I'm
for
along there
yourself.
with you. We don't need to argue that point and spend a lot of time on that point because both of us are
Yeah, but
knowledgeable enough.
neither do we.
We're on the same.
Neither do we
Oh,
need
sorry,
to
sorry.
spend so much time of blowing smoke up your tailpipe. That not necessary. We need to just look at the issue that we're talking about, man, and not every time we get to a thing and you get in a little trouble, you pull one fallacy, which is to bring all the accolades that you have in your background and all the way you don't do and all the study and all the degrees and all of that. And I applaud you for that. Yes, big up yourself. But if we look on an issue like this with
I didn't
limited
think
time,
Mr. Maker could know what the facts are in order
No,
for me
you're
to
trying-
advocate on behalf of my country. Such as I could entertain a discussion with you. If I didn't do those things, I wouldn't be able to entertain a discussion. I would be like
yes,
the average
yes,
man
you
on the
would.
street
Yes, you
that,
would.
that prefer not to even.
You're-
These things are too esoteric for some people, you know, and they prefer not to even be bothered with it.
Right, so you're
can't.
discrediting my
That
intelligence.
is-
You're saying that I would not be able to get your point if you didn't tell me.
See, no, you're gonna the other.
That's what you just said. You
You
just
see,
said that.
Everything I
just
take
said
and I say, you apply one different interpretation instead of
No.
contextualizing what I'm saying.
What are you
Please keep
saying?
things in context.
But then what are you saying? Say it in a way that I can understand it. Then since how you put it?
I made a reference to an average person on the street, and you
Right.
took up yourself as being that one person that I'm
But
making
why-
the reference
why
to.
would you
I didn't
put
make a reference to one person. I made
so-
a reference to in our country. There's a lot of people that could care less about politics.
But I'm here to talk to. They're not the only people, eh? Not me, and I know.
Yes, but we talk about for example, that then people that are saying when we're gonna vote and decide to make a go to ICJ uninformed.
Like me, yes, but I wasn't uninformed. I looked at it
There
carefully.
was other people who were not informed that voted against it as
And
well.
we made the same
So-
decision
So
to go to the ICJ. We won. You lost. Live with it. You cannot beat down a dead horse. The best do you think? Let me ask you a question because you not allow me for even ask you a straight question. Do you think that we would have a better chance even? You say we got a good chance if we would unite as one country and stand behind our belief that this is our country and not Guatemala's. Do you think that maybe we wouldn't have a better chance as opposed to looking at all the particulars that you weren't in favor of? We're going anyway. Do you think that we'd have a better chance?
I don't see the relevance of the question
I see,
because
all right.
we are already
All right.
there.
All right.
Seriously, we are already there.
We
And
basically
you and I cannot at this point. Maybe prior to the referendum, you and I could have probably had some role to play in terms of mitigating whether or not we get there. But once we are now there, there's nothing that you and I can do.
But we could talk about it. No problem. We could talk about it.
Well, of course, yeah. But I mean, it doesn't change nothing.
But it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you're just showing your points. Because you still think that you said that you still don't think we should have gone. I still think that we should have gone. You're saying, albeit under the conditions you're never happy with, but you still say that you think we stand a very good chance of winning. So now you contradict yourself.
My brother.
Yes.
I'm not a good poker player, but I know enough about the poker game that if you have 4 aces, nothing in a poker could trump that. Right? If you have 3 aces and something else, there are other things that could trump that. But once you have 4 aces out of the deck in your hand, you're as good as safe, and there's no reason for you to throw down 2 of those aces to hopefully get some other card that may not make that much of a difference in terms of your possibilities to win the game.
Using that analogy,
that's what we Belizeans they do.
Using that analogy, what do we have? What is in our hand?
We throw down with aces.
How?
We have the moral high ground.
How are we showing down? In what way?
We had history on your side.
You have to explain.
We have the documents on our side.
How are we throwing down 2 aces, Mr. Brackett? How? In what way? How do you use that term? But what do you mean?
Have you had an opportunity to read?
Hold up, man. Answer the question, man.
I answer your question.
No, you're not answering the question. You ask me a question. You're asking me another question, and it's rude to answer a question.
Okay. Let me make the statement then. Let me answer the question with a statement.
How are we throwing down 2 aces? You made the comment, not
one
me.
Of the aces that we're throwing down, right, is what do you call it? The special agreement. That's one of the aces, and everything that is contained within that special agreement. 2, the Maritime Areas Act. We need not rescind it. We have no way, even if we rescind it, to gain it back, because we will have to go there and take it back physically from the Guatemalans. We are not in a position to be able to do that. Why the hell we end up doing that and sign those agreements with those people to do that when they were trying to get the whole country? We should have signed an agreement after we dealt with the international seas. And under the laws of the international seas, whatever we had agreed to do would have been voluntarily, not with a Damocles sword over our head and being used to dispossess us and to claim that half of the country not belong to we. That being the case, half of every other country in the world not belong to the people who currently own it, because somebody else may own it before then. I don't know if I'd be too subtle or too, I'll try,
anyway.
But there are 2 of the aces then, right? You have 4 aces and you can throw 2 and ask the guy to deal you another set of cards. That don't make no sense.
So what you're saying that
that's what was done to us.
Is that affecting our chances of winning at the ICJ? Are those 2 matters affecting our chances?
I know you say affect the chance of winning, It puts us in a bad situation.
Why?
Because no way are we going to come out of there without losing something. That's a foregone conclusion as far as I'm concerned. I'm not the one making the decision, but I know for certainty that is a foregone conclusion. Other people will make that decision after the fact and will appraise us of that. Our legislator, when they had the meeting, when they thought but Miwango would do the referendum, then rush gone and try to violate the spirit of the law from the Supreme Court ruling and turn around and never did what they were supposed to have been doing there when they had that meeting. That meeting should have been for them to discuss the implications of what is it that if we go through this ICJ process and the referendum authorize them to go ahead and go to the ICJ, and the ICJ rule, the requirements of the ICJ court would be, if we lose, for us to alter our constitution.
Well, you're putting on if.
And the legislator of our country will be directed under international pressure to make that alteration.
Why would you put in on if we lose after being so adamant
Because I don't believe we will lose. End of the story, if you want to call it that at this point.
so then why would you interject that? Why would you say if we're going to lose? Wait, you mustn't think we're going to lose. You must think we're going to lose if you're going to say
We don't
if
talk
we
about
lose.
that, man. We don't go through that already. Why you want
Gone
to bring
through
that up
what?
back again?
Gone through what? You didn't gone
The
through
same
that.
point that you're raising.
That you to say if we're going to lose.
Sir, no
said-
respected, no self-respecting lawyer or legal mind or people who learn and study or know anything about law could tell you that you know, stand a chance at losing when you go to court. You prepare yourself to win. You're prepared to win your client's case. Any attorney. But anybody want to tell you that you have a lock, like what them they said they want ironclad case, then they bamboozle you, my brother.
But you just said that. All the while were you to tell
We
me.
don't have an ironclad case. We're dealing with a court. 15 judges, of whom anyone and then could wake up on a different side of the bed and have, as a matter of fact, why do you think that we have lawyers advocating against each other in front of a judge?
You know, we understand all of that. I just came out of court and losing a case, by the way, so I am have to deal with that. And because of the fact that the facts of the
And
matter
sometimes you don't
weren't
lose a
presented.
case,
I understand.
or your
I understand.
case is not lost because you're wrong.
I
You
understand.
know how many people that are not guilty are rotten in jail right now?
That is understood. That is understood. But anyway, be that
You know
as
how
it
many
may.
cases have been thrown?
See why? See why with our past time here? What are your standpoint on
Oh
next
man,
show?
I messed up. I used up your time.
No man. See why? How we look?
We look good.
You're ready for your next show? I want to go and leave more with him.
You could jump. My so cool. You could jump.
All right. Make go cover our next point,
Mr. Mike, quickly
Yes.
before I forget, some of these points that you're bringing up or asking questions about, they really need fleshing out, sir. And it doesn't do justice to just make cavalier statement. I could make a cavalier statement like I normally do anyhow, and then leave it at that, because then it leaves. There's not enough meat on the bone for people to be able to, because you just can't tell somebody something and have them accept your saying it so as being so, because credulity and credibility comes from within the person that's actually interpreting what you're saying to them.
All right.
And unless they have a cursory knowledge or understanding or something about the points, you can't just ram your thoughts down people's throat or force your brain
Let me say.
waves in their head,
Let me say something,
So it would
because
take, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
I might have more confidence in the intelligence of those who are listening, because I realize that people who take the time to watch shows like these are genuinely interested in learning more and are themselves, I mean,
Some of
aware
them
of
are good students of the subjects.
they're smart. And
Some of them
not
are
only-
actually
no,
experts in
not-
the subjects.
And not only that, they will take the time to do their own research and to follow
sir.
up on it. So if just throwing it out
Thank
there,
God for
I
that.
don't think it's a waste of time as such. I don't think we
No,
need
no.
to.
My point that I was trying to bring to you, though, is that it would be nice on some of these bigger subjects that requires a lot of flesh on the bone to maybe talk on one or two different subjects every once in a while,
But it
rather
gets
than trying
boring.
to corral the whole thing in a one ball of wax for one shot period of time, and then people jumping from one point to the next, and thumbs are left sticking out there, with unanswered questions,
I think we've strained it anyway. We pushed the parameters on this one to the limit
Yeah.
because, first of all, it's a dead horse. Number two, people don't.
No, you're not
like
dead. The man, no rule yet, Mr.
I'm speaking as opposed. I'm speaking pertaining to the decision that we made to go to.
You mean for us to go? Oh, yeah, that's a dead horse. I agree with you 100% on that.
I think also that people understand there are a lot of other issues out there, and then I wouldn't want we spend all the time in the world to expound on this one matter. So we can't, we're gone too far anyway. And I want to touch bases with you on another matter, the Constitution, because I wanted your view on whether we should get away with it or revamp it, do some amendments to it. What is your point of view?
Okay. My point of view is that I wish the people that are advocating some changes to our constitution, which, by the way, our constitution does need some changes, would be genuinely honest and upfront with what is it that they're intending to achieve, and not just trying to say, okay, well, we'll make some changes to the constitution and end up to make changes that does not benefit or accrue to the best interest of the
Mr.
country.
Brockett, you're not
Because a lot of
answering
these guys, they play fast and
but you're not
with the current
answering.
constitution, they are playing fast and
You're not answering the question, man. You maybe you didn't listen to me. Maybe you didn't understand the question, sir. What is your view on the Constitution? Should we get rid of it? Should we amend it? Should we revamp and change a couple of things that are in it?
Can I say it in a different way then? I resent the fact that these guys, when they go and get the powers. Wait, Mr. Mike.
No, man, but
Please,
that's not
give me
the
a chance,
question,
sir.
man. That's not the question, man. Give a question. You
You ask me one.
Yes, I asked you your
serious
opinion.
question.
No, but
You
your
ask me a
opinion, not
serious
about the
question.
guy. No, but you not bringing that
And you
guys.
don't want to give me the opportunity to
But no, but you the talk
answer the
about
question.
you know the talk about you.
That's not
You
a yes
talk
and no
about them
answer, Mr.
guys.
Mike.
No, but that was simple
Mr.
thing,
Mike,
my
that
brother.
cannot be a yes and no answer, sir.
So you don't have an opinion
If you
on
say
it.
yes,
Let
if you
hold
say
on,
yes, you're being disingenuous. No, if I say yes, let me apply it to me because I know I misinterpret what I'm saying. If I say yes, I'll be disingenuous. If I say no, I'll be an idiot. So how then would you expect for me to parse the difference between those two positions
But may I say something?
and appear to be credible and honest with what is it that I'm trying to say? But anyhow, please.
May I
I'm
say
sorry. Go ahead.
something? I want to tell you the question that I'm asking in a more simple term because I am
Please go
asking.
ahead.
I will go ahead whether you give me permission to or not, Mr. Brackett. So may I go ahead now?
No, sir, you mean that. Mike, go ahead, man. Stop messing around at the mess wrong. But this is a serious time. The man, they give you only extra time. So we have to do justice to the man time, right? Please. And I can't disgrace your show, you know? So
I am asking your opinion. I know that there are other people that are recommending certain things. I'm not thinking about them. I don't even want to question what they're doing or suggest what they should be doing. You, Leonard Brackett, do you
Yes, sir.
believe the Constitution as it stands is okay, or should we make some changes to it or get rid of it altogether?
the current constitution and any constitution in any part of the world as a global statement now, every once in a while needs to be refreshed and updated based on current circumstances. I don't have a problem with changes being made. What I have a problem with is what these guys are doing, bastardizing our current constitution and abusing it, abuse the power that is vested in them, and also abusing powers that are not vested in them appropriately. And they're finagling with the stuff and playing games.
But you're going on to
I write about these things oftenly. So it's not like, well, you know, the information is not there in terms of my disapproval of some of their conduct. It's not about the constitution itself. Any constitution should be subject to the will of the people in terms of the people's need, because that's what a constitution is supposed to be there for. But how the people them that are managing the country go about doing it, for example, okay, I'll be specific. Are you aware of the fact that some of the people that are advocating a change for the constitution right now?
You're
Sir,
asking me
please.
a question. You're asking me. You're not to be specific.
Okay. Let me make a statement then. Let me put it in a statement form. There are people currently that are using the guise of wanting to change the constitution because, as I intimated earlier, any constitution is subject or should be subject to change. They want to make changes not that allows them to manage the country effectively and holds them accountable to their management styles. They want to make amendments and changes that allows them to get away with the criminalities and conduct that they're, you know, attempting to get away with. Our constitution, for example, says, as a matter of fact, I sent you a draft that I put together, and I hope that at some point in time, you know, you'll have an opportunity to go through it, because I cited the constitution itself, the different sections that needs to be addressed, right? And that these guys are finagling with and trying to get rid of. For example,
these
they
guys
would
being who?
gladly want to get rid of our Governor General
Who are these guys that
as a
you're,
means of getting rid of having to be accountable to the Queen as head of state.
who are these guys that you're referring to?
What political parties are of that mentality?
And they're
I
trying
have
to,
archives in my possession that include personality analysis of all political individuals. Everybody that gets involved in all politics and believes has a political file and an archival file with their personal information and things like those. Okay, we are not a CIA, but we have to have something comparable in order for our country to benefit from the lack of accountability on our government side. Okay, so there are individuals who indulge themselves in these activities in order to be able to have the information available. That when it becomes necessary to put it out there, they can't run and hide like roaches. So they can play all kind of power game with we people, but that don't mean that they're exempt from accountability.
all right, we're way past time. Sir, we covered a couple of things. I really think that the art of argument, though, is something that we need to look at more as a people, and which is why I think we don't get too far in discussing matters and coming to firm conclusions, because we argue in a way where we throw in a lot of things that not relevant to the particular matter being discussed. It's on the peripheral. Everything is, and then you could bring in all kinds of things on the outside. But when you stick to the issue and go from one, because if I ask you about the Constitution, do you think it's okay? No, there could be some changes. That's fine. Then we move on, and we could then discuss about some of the things that some of the people are trying to do. But if we lump everything in at one, we're confused with self, man, and we're not getting opportunity for understand fully what the point that's being made. We hope we do it again on another matter, because if it seems like when we talk, we have to talk about one subject, and I have to be more prepared to go with you around the mulberry bush or down the rabbit hole, like Kermit, which kind of difficult for that turn. Getting out that there turns the challenge then, instead of trying to understand the matter at hand. You see what I say? And I want strategy of argument that doesn't take us very far. But nevertheless, how you stand with the diaspora issue? I mean, you come back to Belize, help the country, or you help it from over there?
I've never stopped helping my country or being engaged in my country and the country's affairs, sir. As a direct answer, I mean, it may not seem like, okay, it might seem like I'm overstating, but that's not an overstatement. I live 24 hours, 7 days a week, 52 weeks of the year. Everything focused on Belize. Okay, where I do over here? Belize is always in the back of my mind in terms of what is it I'm doing, and how what I'm doing accrues back to Belize. That's the purpose of my existence.
So you love Belize?
Always.
All right.
I do it at 40 odd years, almost 50 years now, when I first came. And never did I ever apply for a citizenship. At the most, I applied for the green card, because that facilitates my ability to go and come, and also the ability to have been able to do some specialized work that I was involved with on behalf of the U.S. government. But other than that, I'm very grateful to this country for what it afforded me materially, but Belize is still my heartstring.
Do you see yourself? Do you see yourself at some point moving back to Belize, or have you made America your home?
Well, some people say that I actually have made America my home, because I came out here with the idea of getting my education when I first come, and I'm here going back. And I still haven't been back permanently yet. I keep going and coming, and I'm involved with some activities back there, like I said. I have a responsibility, and before Mr. Golson died, since I was second to him, he blessed me with the privilege to carry on the struggles that the NIP party struggled for, and which is part of the UDP as an amalgamation.
Did you ever run for politics?
No, never did, never wished to. I'm always just hoping that, you know, people who are more politically inclined in terms of the office seeking options would be, you know.
Let me throw out a name and you give me your opinion right off. George Price.
The father of the nation, like they always say, but he was more than that. Even the book where Mr. Mann wrote the other day, Mr. Smith, doesn't have all the information about Mr. Price's life trajectory.
All right.
Some were left out deliberately, others were not known about, and you know, that's part of life.
Dean
That's
Barrow.
why sometimes people update books, you know, add additional information that they. I'm sorry, I was about to say something that's not interjected.
Dean Barrow. Dean Barrow.
Could have turned out to be one of the better prime ministers, probably the second best prime minister in the country after Mr. Price, but for whatever the reason, choose not to and end up not becoming a scofflaw. And for as much as he have the record as being the person with 3-time prime ministership after independence, he sold himself short, and he sold the party short, sold the country short. So as far as I'm concerned,
Said Musa.
Another person that could have been greater than, I mean, he was great, but sold himself short again too, you know, for material purposes, you know. The man was a great mind, he was a great leader, he was a great politician, and he was a great prime minister, as a matter of fact. But at the end of his prime ministership, you know, he got himself hooked into the wagons of the great what do you call it? What do I call it? The great the dragon of Chichester, no? Mr. Michael.
How about
he messed up Mr. Musa's grandiose departure, you know, in terms of departing on a high note.
Well, let's try him, Michael Ashcroft.
Who? Well, not a personal friend of mine, that's for sure. Spoken to him a couple of times, written to him a few times, but as far as I'm concerned, he's just a businessman trying to make the buck any which way he can, and he's not what you call a good corporate citizen.
How about Johnny Briseño?
The man to whom we thought we were helping him to take over the governance of the country, but actually got dispatched because he did not have the temerity to do what needed to be done at the time. And during the G7, we provided him with information for him to know that it was the cabinet was being played, when in fact cabinet is a consensus process, and many members of the cabinet were not aware of what was going on. When they became aware of what was going on, you know, they rebelled, but they did not put their horses in the right order quick enough. So there couldn't have been a policy coup, you know. And then now that he has his opportunity, he's so burnt out and tired and frustrated to the point where he's making a lot of unnecessary mistakes.
Okay.
Some of which I could enumerate. You know, like I say, I have files on this.
Oh, you know, stop, man. Ralph
Go ahead,
Fonseca. Ralph Fonseca.
Ralph? Scoundrel, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. All right.
Another one that could have done good for his country and choose not to.
One more name. Leonard Brackett.
Well, someone who wish the best for his country and hope that maybe better could be had. Try to do the best I could with all the circumstances presented and assets and resources that became available. And, you know, some people see me how I operate and they feel like maybe I get a whap with a 2x4 in my head. That's why probably I behave and act and relate the way I do. But, you know, there's a reason to my madness, or what appear to be my madness.
In your heart, are you comforted that you are a good person and doing the best that you can to make life as well for everybody that you can?
Well, that's my prayer. That's my daily prayer. I pray a minimum of 5 times per day. You know, once in the morning when I wake up, once when I eat the first meal, once when I eat the second meal, once when I eat my last meal at night, and once before I go to sleep, and sometimes in between. And I'm always praying during that. Every time I open my mouth to pray to God, I'm always asking Him to help me to be a good person and to do good for myself and others, and to bless my country, its leaders, and its people.
You a mess around, a
That's my
tired
hope and
God.
aspiration. Huh?
You a tired God, man. Anyway,
I mean, I'm tired God.
how
I'm tired God for.
how about Clinton Young? Clinton Young.
Clinton Young,
Yeah,
our
about him.
buddy. Yeah, man. The man,
Man,
he's a facilitator.
Yes, he is a facilitator indeed. Making
Mr.
things
Young,
happen.
Mr. Young, you
Man,
think I'm
guy,
doing justice by using that particular term or word?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's a lot that goes with that.
Yeah, I'm here listening, man. I'm listening and soaking it in, man. I'm learning, man. I appreciate you guys, man. Both you guys, man. For real, you know.
And I appreciate you too, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being
Keep
on
up
the
the good
show,
work, and
man.
God bless you, brother.
All right,
Mr. Brackett,
Yes, sir.
it's been interesting to say the least. Thank you for your time, for your patience. I a virtue that I'm not blessed with, and if I have to pray, that would be the one thing I'd pray more for. Virtue. I mean, patience, because it's necessary, in particular when you're dealing with conversations and such. I'm trying to learn to listen more.
I have a problem, no, Mr. Mike, and that is because I have too much bubbling up inside of me. Too many decades of, before I left Belize, almost 50 years ago, to come out here initially. I was enough of a an astute political mind, or I would say an expert enough in political affairs, not only in my country, but on international affairs, right? And I don't think I'm any less of an expert now after 50 odd years of additional material being pumped into this carcass, And there's too much in there, and I guess sometimes I get, I think you mentioned one time, emotional. I am emotional when I come to my country, brother. There's nothing else that pull my emotion more than anything that has to do with my country.
Well, you could you can have worse problems than that, I can tell you that. So stay strong, stay focused, stay open to learning more, because we can always learn more for sure. CY?
Yes, sir.
I want
don't leave yet. Hold on there, Mr. G.
Yeah, man.
Make I just pull up this thing, man.
I want to remind people that we're working on a swap meet flea market, and I know your wonderful daughter has been working on a flyer for us there.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up now, sir. I got it. So just give me a second. That's what I'm looking for.
We're giving everybody enough time. It'll be September the 16th, and of course that's in the holiday season, our celebration season, if you will. We're hoping to have a swap meet where we can make things available to people at a reasonable cost and make a lead change for our students attending school. We could help with some school fees and some stuff like that. And we want to ask people from the States, in particular those who make the annual pilgrimage home, bring on the extra school bag or something full of thing. It could be some old tools, it could be old shoes, it could be something where you not use, that we could just put out there, and who knows, it might be that's something that somebody desperately need, and we could make a couple of dollars to support our cause and to do what's necessary to keep this foundation active and working. We got one trip planned for next week, Sunday, which will be the 5th of June. And it's sponsored in part by our good friend Elder Kanaki Shea from up Florida way, from the Jude Foundation. And also Miss Sonia Allen is helping us with the bulk part of the transport fees. So we're going to leave us and we get a team. We plan on having our drummers. I did a little live the other day and show some of the guys. They drum every Friday now. And we're trying to put together a lead band as such. We have some girls that we're trying to get, the dancers, the They do yoga every Wednesday, and we're trying to incorporate and lead dance troupe into that and have them do some cheerleading. So we're trying to make this into an area that focuses on development of character, getting something for do so that they're occupied, work on their discipline, their longevity, their stick-to-itiveness, most of all, that they can stay with things when they started, and a part that's a big part of the discipline, of course. I think there's a lot where we have gone awry in the raising of our children. We certainly cannot do it all. I would hope that different areas, they emulate what we're doing here in trying to find a safe area for the children to come together, learn, develop camaraderie amongst each other, see by example good things that are happening, understand that there are people out there that care about them and would like to see them succeed and become good citizens, because after all, they are the future and they are the ones that will carry this torch forward. CY, thank you for your assistance, the opportunity to have these conversations on a weekly basis, and trust me, we'll be here 2:30 again next week, Saturday. Don't miss it, people. 2:30 Belize time, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, and on the yeah, man, you're good for that. Take it out. Bring it. I all right. Now what? All right. Yeah, man. Look, Machia, look for me. All right.
Yo, the jokes be nice.
Yeah, man.
I check out the jokes, they boy be bad.
Boy, them boy,
Leave boy bad.
Yeah, leave boy, the young boy, you're bad.
Yeah, boy, they get it.
Yeah, man. So once they practice on,
all that thing.
yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
It happen, Rasta. We're doing well.
Yeah, one love, me, brother.
Respect every time.
All right, bless.
God is good.
Rasta be the people's champion. I really like Patan, Rasta be ramen, they know that just so we function. That's a plan, I done the conception. Rasta be moving like an army of one. People's champion. I really like Patan, Rasta be ramen, they know that just so we function. That's a plan, I got the conception. Rasta be moving like an army of one. This year 1 year is about a little Rastabira. One man in a community, ruling the book of Maya. So survivors, psychics, students, and all the pressure. Even when the mountain, we still know what under. We don't be the good. Last year we know. We know we be Japan, or the one name from China. Afangaluba, Ukarazala, see why I'm Francis, now we sponsor. Living up this stamina, reaching our banana. Could have been this race in one hour, we don't be back. Like the unknown star, the clouds back when the battle is the big water. No retreat, no suffering. To a million people, is something we remember. We don't follow trend, be that trend setter. The definition after Rastabira. Rastabira is the people's champion. I realize Fatman Rastabira, maintain that just so we function. That's a fun, I done the conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. People's champion. I realize Fatman Rastabira, maintain that just so we function. That's a plan, I got the conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. The disease is a great thing, major pastor, really king. Thanks to all love when we get from love and friend. But this is the warning. to the teeth pretending. To get in the river with me if you can't swim. If you have a back this time it's real. Conversation Friday to the full report. It's a music when the bell ring. From a little look, they try to hang on like static green. That's a real champion. Now we like Spatman, Rastafari, and they know that just so we come down. That's a fun, I got the conception. Rastafari moving like an army of one. Good champion. W like Spatman, Rastafari, and they know that just so we come down. That's a plan, I got the conception. Rastafari moving like an army of one. Gosh. Why? To the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right. No, jump back, jump back, jump back, jump back, jump back, jump back, jump back. If you don't believe it, take a picture and freeze it. Alone against room in a can release it. Watch how we scare it. And if I balance it, when I find it fast and still navigate it. When you start singing, when I'm on the list, when you try the people, they watch me like Netflix. So take a break and release it. For God who release it. Now I'm real Rasta here in this shit. Who no serious like the virus. Nothing you can do, they catch up. So we know the quarry, we know the force. We need our people helping sing before us. So that's the way the people champion. Now we like Spatman, Rastafari, and they know that just so we function. I got the conception. Rastafari moving like an army of one. People champion. W like Spatman, Rastafari, they know that just so we function. Plan, I got the conception. Rastafari moving like an army of one. I see what it is. To the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right. No, jump back, jump back, jump back, jump back, jump back, jump back, jump back. Done. Yeah. On a mercy, no mercy. I'm feeling a song by a peanut butter sandwich if we think so that it's thirsty. This technique to come all the way from out of the breeze and jungle. When I get my teachings from the monks out of the Mayan temple. Them say Siwa, the humble, gentle and respectful. But if I hear your test, then we have to move on the double. So think you blink, I like the Bermuda Triangle. We know the chick. Oh. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. That is time we use when we battle. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. Master kung fu hard your metal. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. Chunkin master drink snapple. And if your hair snap up on the crackle, otherwise crispy dark tiger tackle. We don't come to the dance, this each other. We come for hear him boy bubble. In me pocket, big fat bungle. Me and me gal with the model. It's fool start to act simple. Where everybody boy want rumble. Make a wrong turn, take a wrong angle. Face to face with the tiger tackle. Well, see how they fool the chimble. Cause they know him brains that get stumbled. We no play when we buck up the devil grave. They got eat work, but use them shovel. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. That is time we use when we battle. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. Master kung fu hard your main settle. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. We make drunken master drink snapple. And if your hair snap up on the tackle, otherwise it's big dark tiger tackle. We know the jingle fool, we know the jungle. We know the mumble, grumble, no fumble. If the tiger patch you want come stumble, then
When you know your cage must get rattled, right quick, bust up your blood vessel, bounce your heart, I'm an nestle. About a test, mission impossible. From your own spinal cord, you are dangled. Hotter than water from a kickle, like you get what with piece of metal. Before you take your life, come here, come gamble. Play Russian roulette with a loaded rifle. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. That is that we use when we battle. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. Master kung fu hard, you may settle. Tiger tackle, tiger tackle, tiger tackle. We make drunken master drink stable. And if your hair snap up on the crackle, and a rice krispies dark, tiger tackle. We don't come to the dance, this seek trouble. We come for hear him boy bubble. In me pocket, big fat bungle. Me and me girl with the model. It's cool, start to act simple. Where everybody, boy, want rumble. Make a wrong turn, take a wrong tumble. Face to face with the tiger tackle.
Yeah. Where we out of here. Me, Smokey, and my crew, Big G, all that. We gonna be back next week Saturday. Nah, matter of fact, Tuesday, check us. Cause we gonna have the big results coming up for the week. Cause Thursday, you know, we back in the comedy thing. We did the I tell the story about Majestic. This week I'll tell one about Eden. Yeah. So on Thursday evening, 8 o'clock NYC time. Regular time 1:30, 2:30, 3:30 BZ time. That's Miss Arlie Gomez, Mr. G, Mike G, and then the music I'll expose with me, Julia, and Smokey. So you know, keep them dates and time lock. When I get the info to the go and remember, subscribe to the YouTube channel and check it out. So you're going to always get the info afterwards, you dig? One love, my blessings to all the viewers. Same way. Remember.
Up full.
Oh, you're there, about? The king. How you feel?
I didn't even put the truck by the road. I just finished the plugs and thing. I want to check it, make sure it run right.
All right, cool. But we're good though, right?
Huh?
We're good though.
Hopefully I'll put it on the road now and check it out.
Whoa, all right. I look for sign off.
All right, then. The right job here. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, man. I know you're lucky in.
All right.
You're lucky in.
Yeah,
but I got a couple of runs I want to make. I take care of a couple of these things, you know. I don't like come off when people watch the thing, you know, but still.
You don't know the deal.
All right, one love. Till next week we're strong. Everything should have said no. Say hi to the baby for me and the family.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, respect to everybody out in the world. And yeah, as my sister will say, all the ancestors take care of themselves. Build up.
Yes, sir.